What's going on, Internet? The Black Okage here, aka TBH. And to be honest, I'd like to welcome you back to the Game and Illuminaughty podcast. We are the Enlightened Gamers, and you're now tuned in to episode 141. If you're watching the video version of the show at youtube.com/GI updates, know this show is available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and all other major podcast platforms. Be sure to rate the show 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. We need your 5-star rating to move up in that algorithm and bring in new potential listeners. Follow the podcast on social media. We're available on all social media platforms where we drop daily content. That includes TikTok, Instagram, as well as Twitter. And our handle on all social media platforms is at GI Updates. There will be a link in the description box below if you're watching the video version. Now, allow me to introduce you to my co-host, the first of which is part of 1 million plus people who left St. Louis in the last 10 to 15 years. UTX Immigrant the Don. Say what up to the people.
What's good? What's good? I'm glad that I left because we got some new phenomenons going on in my city.
Oh, I don't. What's actually happening? I missed this.
We got a rapper who's who went viral because she was rapping it. It looked like a hair store, and she was saying some really vulgar things. And she
Give us a verse. Give us a verse.
She said, "Where the hoes? Quit playing, nigga. Come suck a bitch toes."
Ladies
Actual
and gentlemen,
lyrics. I am embarrassed.
UTX declining population the Don, ladies and gentlemen.
My
second co-host, he calls himself a gamer, but he admits that he still hasn't seen the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Ethos, what do you have to say for yourself?
And I haven't played any of the games we're probably going to talk about today either. I'm a fake gamer. I'm sorry. I let y'all down again. Another week. I'll do better next time.
You're going to be contributing 45 to 50% on the next episode.
When Jedi Survivor comes out, I'll attribute.
Yeah, he'll talk for an hour.
Which, by the way, can we go ahead and preface this episode by saying we're not talking about Jedi Survivor today? Is the 25th in which we're recording. It comes out in 3 days. So the next podcast, we'll talk about it. We wanted to have more time to spend with the game. That way we can talk a little bit more in depth with it because I think we all were looking forward to it. Plus, we had a lot to talk about for this episode, and we want to be consistent. And we know y'all want more episodes. So he was like, let's do a back-to-back. So yeah, that'll be in the next episode. Now, before we get into the show, friendly reminder, join our Discord at discord.gg/GI updates. It's totally free. Big shout out to our Discord members, Cellular, Mr. Flex-a-Lot, and the Black Newton. Y'all help keep the lights on, and we appreciate y'all support. It's many perks for joining our Discord, such as shout outs. We do monthly giveaways for games. We're actually giving away, I just gave away a copy of Jedi Survivor today on Steam to the winner. We do consultations for gamers, gamers content creators. We do watch parties. Matter of fact, we just did a watch party for the Davis Garcia fight this past weekend. That party, it was lit. I actually bought the pay-per-view. Our watch parties, I don't be going to them illegal websites. We have the high quality streams allegedly in the Discord because I bought the pay-per-view, and that's what we're going to be doing for future events. And it was lit. It was a lot of people in there. It was lit when Garcia went down with that damn body shot. We also got a tournament in the works. I'm thinking Tekken 7 because I looked at the analytics and we got a big Tekken audience. We're doing a watch party for the upcoming UFC 2088. Who's fighting in that, JG? I don't watch no damn UFC. Who's fighting in that?
They got Henry Cejudo fighting in that one.
Henry, all right. So join the Discord. If you're watching on YouTube at youtube.com/GI updates, there will be a link in the description box below. But if you're listening to the audio version, it's discord.gg/GI updates. Just type it in your phone and you'll be able to join right away. Before we get into the leading conversation, a couple quickies, the delays, the reveals. The first of which is Rocksteady's Suicide Squad. It finally got a new release window. Release date. I was going to say release window. Let me switch over to the article. So, according to the official Suicide Squad Justice League Twitter, the game will now launch on February 2nd, 2024. Next year, they said, we've made the hard, tough decision, but necessary, to take the time needed to work on getting the game to be the best quality experience for players. Thank you for our amazing community, for the continued support, patience, and understanding. There's much more to share in the months ahead, and we look forward to seeing you in Metropolis next year. What is that doing for you, Ethos? And are you surprised?
No, it doesn't surprise me. The only thing that surprised me was I was surprised they went that far into a delay. I thought they were just going to delay it a couple of months, but them to push it back that far, Kind of tells me that it was not received well. The game's gameplay preview was not received remotely, I guess, positive. I think even though YouTube's hid the dislike bar, I think people were able to still see it through like a mod or something, some Chrome extension. Yeah. It seems like all the trailers have gotten like more negative than positive reception. So I think at this point, I was gonna say months ago that I don't think there would be enough time for them to like not even fix, but change how like the core progression of the game functions, or if for it to be this sort of like looter shooter game with this amount of time. I mean, maybe that's why for them to push it that far and like say, all right, screw it, we're not getting this thing out for the rest of this year. There's an argument to be said that maybe they're going to actually like remove those things out of the game and make it into more of like what people want an Arkham game to be, and not to be like a live service copy of like Gotham Knights. So fingers crossed that's what that really means. But yeah, I guess for people that wanted that, that's a positive thing. And I guess people who are waiting for this thing are maybe a little disappointed. But hey, I think it was a smart decision.
Any hot takes, Jay?
I mean, it's April right now. We're literally about to move into May. I mean, I can only hope that, again, they're going to take this stuff that people didn't like out. I've seen some people that are, a little bit more positive than I am. I'm definitely pessimistic about this one. I'm bullish on them not bringing that the looter shooter and the battle pass, the RPG elements. I don't think they're going to take that out. It would be smart for them to do so, but I don't think they're going to do it. So that's my hot take. I actually have the opposite opinion. I think they're going to keep it the same. They're probably going to just tweak a couple of things, maybe not make enemies as bullet spongy. But I mean, it's literally a shooter, and I didn't want it to be like that because I mean, not everybody should have a gun in their hands that we're playing with. It's only a certain amount of people that should have a gun. But like Harley Quinn having a gun, like everybody had a gun, so like it just looked boring. It looked boring, and nobody wants that stuff in there. But I think they're going to keep it in there, and I think it's going to be a disappointment. But we shall see. I don't want it to be bad, but I don't think it's going to. I don't think they're going to make too many changes on it.
What's that, like a 6-month delay or something like that? Like, that's not enough time to completely change the game around. So I'm thinking if they do take the feedback into consideration.
That's 10 months.
10?
Yeah,
okay.
10.
That's 10 months.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
I mean, as a dev, he does before T-Base gets into it. Do you think
that's a lot of time
to take that out?
That's a lot of time considering it's a massive studio. I'm speaking from my experience. I think when you have a smaller team, you can make changes to a game way faster than I think a big studio, because a big studio, you got to hop through hoops. You got to get approval from higher up. Management has to approve. And if they don't agree, then, then there starts to be infighting. So, there's a bunch of crap. And like you said, TBH, with the loss of their founders, which if now we're going to be betting, conspiracy wise, I'm almost like I'm on your side with that. Bet that I think like them leaving was a result of this game ending up being like a live service game. I don't think they wanted to make this game that type of thing, and I think WB forced them to. So I think with the amount of time, they can definitely make significant changes. Do I think they can like change the game completely and give people like what JG wants, where it's like there's no guns for Harley Quinn, she just uses like her hammer or whatever? No, I don't think that's the case. I think the things they can do is I think they can remove the battle pass, or at least rework how the battle pass functions. I think they can change around the progression system. I think that might be enough time to do that. And maybe they find a way of removing the looter shooter like aspect, or reducing how much RPG elements like are necessary for the game to play. I think they could do that. So that's not to say that I'm not saying that like they're just guaranteed they're gone. For all we know, maybe the game is just like unplayable right now, and it's more of a technical, like there's some technical thing we're just not aware of, that's the game's not like functional. But I mean, from what we saw in the trailer, it looked like the game ran fine and was playable. It looks like they have a majority of the game done. I feel like now it's just, I truly think it's just because the feedback they got was not what they were expecting. And I think WB, especially after how Harry Potter performed, I feel like they don't want this. They want this game to succeed like Harry Potter, because it's a big IP, and they can't afford for it to like flop, especially after Gotham Knights. Even though Harry Potter technically just saved their entire financial like blunders of the previous year, Harry Potter just literally just said, that doesn't matter. We made a boatload of money. So I don't know. I think that's the goal. I think if this wasn't going to happen, the game would have just got delayed 3-6 months. It would have launched this year. I feel like for them to push it back to 2024, that's massive. And we're only 4 months into the year. Like that's not something that like you normally see for like a regular, like we need to polish the game delay. That's more of a like, there's something fundamentally with our game we need to change. So
I don't know
That's just my take.
I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I know I should be happy, but then on the flip side, it's like
there's too many games. I mean, like I don't care that this game got pushed back though. Like, there's already a lot of games coming out, so it's not like, oh god, there's nothing to play. Like this thing was gonna be smack in the middle of like probably like what, Zelda and something else. So do we really even care?
I was gonna say it. If our conspiracy is true about the two founders of Rocksteady leaving because they didn't like the direction Warner Bros. went, Warner Bros. Strong-armed their way into this game and they forced it to be a live service. They saw the feedback and now they're backtracking. But the problem is now they're going to try to rework the core of the game, but now the studio lacks leadership. So now I'm thinking about who's going to step up and actually provide direction because WB's direction didn't work. You got the heads gone. I'm just like, I'm kind of like in the middle. Like, I don't know. Like, man, we gotta wait till another trailer drops, man. Because right now I feel like that studio is in limbo, and like it sucks to see that because I think the corporate overlords probably ruined this game. But I hope it turns out good. We'll see.
I mean, do we really? Does anybody really even care?
After Gotham Knights, no, I don't.
Like,
I don't have a strong disposition. Yeah, I don't have a strong position. Yeah.
I feel like if this game had been single player, I would have been really excited for it. But the moment they announced co-op and they showed the, looter shooter elements, I kind of was like, I just rolled my eyes and was like, okay.
You know what really sucks about it? Now that I think about it, like what makes the Suicide Squad cool is there's not really like, at least from like the core members I know, there's not really any like OP villains in that group. So what makes them work is they have to work together. But from what I saw in the gameplay, like JG said, it's just a shooter. They're not like, you remember what was it, what was the Marvel game where you could combine abilities, like you could shoot the lasers off of you could shoot the unibeam off of Wolverine's claws and shit like that.
Are you talking about Midnight Sun?
No, the old joint
game
for the 360 PS3.
Oh Lord, I don't know.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. Like I'm thinking like Suicide Squad should be a little bit more like that, where the co-op elements where the characters, they kind of complement one another. I think that's more the route that would make more sense versus just giving everybody a gun. But
well, I'm telling you right now, it's too late for that.
This is exactly why.
It's too late for that. I'll just kill it right there. It's too late for that.
It's always FUBU.
They're all gonna still have guns. I mean, like, at least my perception. Like, I've read a couple of Suicide stuff, and I've watched a lot of the anime.
That sounds crazy out of context.
What did I say? That was crazy.
You said I've read a lot of Suicide stuff.
Look, I've read a lot of the Suicide comics.
Okay,
a decent amount, nothing crazy, but a lot of my knowledge of how I learned about who they were was through the animated movies. The ones that DC does every year. Mm-hmm. And I really liked Attack on Attack on Arkham. Like that one was like probably one of my favorites. But they always had, like, I feel like all of them used guns. Like, but I think the thing that what JG and you're pointing out is that it always felt like the things that they were going up against were so astronomically more powerful than them that they had to do, like, that they kind of like bullshitted their way to getting the mission done. That's always how it felt like throughout all their missions. Like even in the James Gunn one, like they're fighting literally some space entity that brainwashes
members constantly died too.
Yeah, and most of the time Suicide Squad, like I think every mission they go out on, like literally half the team ends up dying every single time. But somehow like Harley still lives, Deadshot sometimes lives, and like a couple of others. Maybe King Shark sometimes lives or he gets clapped. But like that's the thing. Like they're not that good, and I do agree with like you. I feel like a synergy between them where like kind of them like stumbling through this would have been good instead of them being like, oh, we're all badass, look at us grapple hooking and jumping in the air with all these superpowers now and shooting people down. Like I don't know, I agree. I think the game is going to improve. I think it will end up, they'll limit the amount of damage I think that they were going to originally do with the game with the live service. I think they might hold back a lot on making the game a live service. Like they might throw more of that stuff directly into the game. But I think like at a point we're just like the game's already done and polished at a point, and for them to go back and fundamentally, go under the hood and change core mechanics, I feel like that's like there's enough time I think within this gap, but is there enough to fix every single thing that people were like bitching about? No, I think they're just gonna have to pick their battles and pick some things that are doable and not.
I'll end the conversation on this. Ugly Sonic, you remember that? Internet bitched and they fixed it, so it is possible. Although that's a movie, it's a little different, but
it's a little. But still, it was like that's your main
possible.
Character, so it was a massive. Yeah, it was a massive amount of money.
How are we feeling about the rumored release window for Armored Core 6? I know you're a big fan. According to Kami Games on Twitter, which is a very influential news pundit in the gaming space on Twitter. He says that it's rumored to be coming out August 25th. What's that doing for you, Ethos?
That's the comment. He followed me on Twitter.
Shout
I've never been over it. Yeah, so
nice.
I was like, hey, yeah, you know, we trying out here. We're trying to promote Black excellence. He's doing a great job on the game news and discussion on Twitter. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, this is From Software. I mean, they've already, you know, defied expectations with Elden Ring. And this is real. Like, this doesn't even seem like impossible for them. I just feel like, dang, I wasn't expecting it like this quick. But I thought like we wouldn't get into like fall, maybe like December. But for them to like announce this thing right on the heels of Elden Ring and the DLC for Elden Ring 2 and being like, yo, we even got this. I think one of my friends, he tweeted the best about this. He said, this means either two things. Either one, From Software has gotten so good at making games and their pipeline is so good that they are just consistently able to pump out games out of their studio with a consistency similar to like what like Insomniac has and what Santa Monica has, like those type of studios where like in Horizon, what's their Guerrilla Games? Like that that consistency, because like you notice like with those games, like every 3-4 years, something like that, or in between, like they're just able to pump out DLC or projects, and they're always of this like quality level. So yeah, either that, which is a good sign after Elden Ring, I think that's what everyone's probably believing, or two, that this might end up being just a colossal like mess up and that they're rushing this thing out of the gate. It's either one of those two things. So I guess time will tell. I just want to see a gameplay trailer. I just want to see, you know, what's this game going to look like? How is it going to play? Is it going to play differently? Is it going to be the same? And I'm really looking forward to seeing how you JG and you TBH and like others react to whatever they show gameplay wise. I think that's going to be interesting, especially if people have like Elden Ring in their head and they see this, you know, and it's not like Elden Ring. Like what's the reaction going to be? So yep, that's it.
Got you. What about you, Jay? Are you an Armored Core fan?
No, I've never played Armored Core in my life. So yeah, Ito said it was lit. I know we talked about this before, so I am interested to see what this game will look like and if I will be interested enough to play it.
Yeah, I gotta see a gameplay trailer. I never played Armored Core. I remember hearing about it all the time as a kid, but like I don't have any takes on it because I never had a chance to play. That was a PlayStation game, I think, right? Yeah,
PlayStation Vita. I think there was like one on the PSP. I think it was PlayStation Online stuff. Yeah.
I didn't have a PlayStation at the time. What about this game? This is a brand new game that's being published by EA. It's called Immortals of Aveum. I think that's how you pronounce it. This was announced literally like a few days ago. It's an upcoming first-person shooter game developed by Xdefiant Studios, and it's being published by EA. It's a part of their program. I'm trying to remember what it was called, but let me see. What is Xdefiant Studios known for? I'm looking at their Wikipedia. It's made up of former Sledgehammer games. And so this is a new studio made up of former Sledgehammer employees, but it's a first-person magic shooter. The press has been calling it like Call of Duty with magic, but I feel like that's kind of a disservice to it because it's a story-driven game. It's a very fantasy realm type of like a game. Have you guys got a chance to look at the trailer and like the gameplay that I linked to the notes?
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I'll talk about it like first impressions. I'm not gonna lie, it's not really doing it for me. The main reason is if you watch the trailer, it's just sparkles all over the place. I don't know if I'm getting old or something, but that shit was hurting my eyes, man. Like I'm like, if they dial it back, it looked like first person Forspoken. And I
was just thinking that. I'm watching the game right now. Like my eyes are literally like so many colors. Yeah.
With a little mix of Doom, I see that in there with the movement system, but it's just way too much. If you scroll to the middle of the gameplay, way too much sparkles. I'm like, bro, I don't know if I can do that for 20 hours, and I don't really see anything in the gameplay that's like blowing me away. I think the name of the program is EA Originals because that's what they published Wild Hearts under, and I was about to bring that up. That's another reason I'm not excited because the last game they published under this program is Wild Hearts. So I don't know.
Mean, to be fair, they're also responsible for A Way Out and It Takes Two. So
this studio? Oh, you're talking about
Originals. Yeah.
But on the flip side, this studio is made up of former Sledgehammer developers. They make the worst Call of Duties.
Oh god, this has looter elements too.
Does it now?
Oh my god, it has gear. Oh my, come on,
man. Can it, bro? All right, like I'm about to literally like throw up now. Can we please like just stop looter shooters? Like, I just want it to stop now. Like, this looks like a single player experience, right? But I mean, maybe there are a couple of people running around. Maybe this is actually a co-op thing. But why do we have this in here? What teammate said, I'm looking at it, and it does remind me more like Doom. It's not Call of Duty. Even though it's, Sledgehammer people made this studio, it doesn't look like Call of Duty at all. And I was actually interested until I heard that. Now I'm not interested at all.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have to cut this trailer off from the footage early. Sorry for those watching, just because this shit is hurting my fucking eyes. It's just OD. This is one of those games. I'll give it a shot if there's nothing to play when it launches, but like based off of first impressions, I'm not impressed. Y'all pre-ordering?
It's gonna be free.
I said no.
Free?
I may play it though. I may.
I got the Game Pass.
Oh, it's on Game Pass?
I mean, it's going to be on the EA Play, so it'll be on the Game Pass.
Okay, well then, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'll try it out.
So for the podcast, for content, for you guys, hit the like button, for you guys.
I'll give it a shot.
Here's one that made Ethos bust a nut. Fucking Harry Potter Quidditch Champions was announced.
Oh, true.
So we finally got the answer of why we didn't get Quidditch inside of Hogwarts Legacy, and it's because this is published by WB, the same company that published Hogwarts. They're working on a separate standalone Quidditch game called Quidditch Champions. You can actually register for alpha if you want to at quidditchchampions.wbgames.com. They showed a little trailer. It really didn't show much. It was just like some quick animations. I can play it right here if you want. What's this doing for you, Ethos? What do you want to see from a Quidditch game? You're a big Harry Potter fan.
I mean, day one, bro. We're gonna play this day one. D-Man already tweeted me. He said, "Yo, we gonna play 2K. This like 2K." I said, "Hey, I'm ready. Just pick the role you want me to play as, and I'm gonna do it. Whether it's Seeker, Chaser, I forgot the rest of them, but whatever it is. I mean,
ERs in this.
Hey, yo,
what's that supposed to
buddy?
I'm not,
What's that about? I just looked at his little schedule. Whatever, bro.
I don't know, bro.
You get to create your own character in it. Huh?
Yeah, just like the other Hogwarts game. I mean, this is what people wanted. This seemed to be like the biggest feedback item from Legacy. People were like, we want to have this thing, but I think we talked about it. The whole reason why we were like, yeah, it probably was because scope-wise, the game would have just been a lot for them to also develop, an actual Quidditch mode. And obviously, like, people would have been mad if it had just been some like stupid little mini game. Like, I feel like with that type of game mode, you have to go all out. Like, you have to make the game have the depth and like feel that like things like Rocket League have. You can't just like half-ass it and just make it some simple little like quick time event thing. Like you have to go all out for it. There was a Quidditch game that came out a long time ago. I think back on like the Xbox and PS2. I think like back in those days. I think a long time ago. I think there was one. I didn't play it though, but I do remember playing. I think I played Quidditch on like the old Harry Potter games. I think they had a Quidditch like mission or something like that on it. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I thought it would be fun to play, and like that's the gist of it. I already signed up for it. You can sign up for it right now. So, I mean, like you said, there's no gameplay yet, but I'm looking forward to trying it out.
There's no logic behind this, but based off that little teaser they show, I just feel like this game's gonna have microtransactions out the ass.
It's gonna be free to play. It has to be.
I'm getting Fortnite vibes from the animation style, and like it screams microtransactions to me.
It's gonna be Rocket League's model. I feel like.
Would you be mad? Would you be mad like you had to pay for like the best brooms or the balls or?
Oh well, of course, yeah. Like if they make it where like the brooms give you like speed boosts and you have to pay for them, yeah, I'm gonna call BS on that. But if it's just purely cosmetic stuff where like you can change how your witch or your wizard looks, the different robes and stuff that they can wear, and like maybe animations they have when they score, I wouldn't have an issue with that as long as like the core of the game is untouched by any of the microtransactions. I'll be cool with it.
I feel that. Yeah, so look out for Quidditch Champions, the electrifying broom game from Harry Potter. Brooms reminds me of sweeping. I wish the Hawks would get swept, but what's the name? It's all good. This is a random piece of news, nothing too crazy to talk about, but the director of Tekken, he actually somebody asked him, just randomly tweeted him. He was like, "Hey, can we get crossplay in Tekken 8?" He's like, "Crossplay? Yeah, we're gonna do it." So he just randomly revealed this on Twitter. I really didn't see too many publications pick this up, but yeah, for those of you who care about Tekken 8, it has been confirmed by the director of the game that it will contain crossplay. What's that doing for you, Jay?
I mean, it's amazing. I feel like every multiplayer game should have crossplay. Like that should just be a standard at this point. Like play whatever console that you want to play on. Like we need to stop this console war stuff. So that's cool. I think the reason why this didn't get picked up is because he just casually tweeted it, like you said. So I honestly don't think a lot of people actually caught it. He just said it. It was like, all right, cool. Like, yeah, it's going to have a crossplay. So that's dope.
Yeah, he said the GI podcast is on the ball. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, it was supposed to be a quickie section, but that turned into like a whole 20-minute conversation. I didn't expect us to talk about Suicide Squad that long. But it's all good. It's quality content. Let's actually get into the lead conversations of the podcast. The first of which, since the last show, the Super Mario Bros. Movie dropped. Of course, if you're a gamer, you gotta know who Mario is. This film it was produced by Illumination. They're the ones who created the what's the little yellow Minions movie. Yeah. They're the ones that produced it in collaboration with Miyamoto. When it first came out, like right before it came out, there was a little buzz around it because the critics panned it and it had like a 46% Rotten Tomatoes, so people were worried about it. Then the movie released to the general public, and currently it's sitting at a 96 the last time we checked. And also, not only did the people love it, but it's been reported that it's well on its way to grossing over $1 billion. In the first like 2 weeks, it's got 900 mil, so it's gonna easily hit $1 billion eventually. Both JG and I got some hands-on time. We got to actually see the movie. Ethos don't be playing no games or watching no culture-related stuff either. So give me your hot take. Was it as bad as the critics said? Did you enjoy it? What was going on with the Mario movie, Jay?
It absolutely was not bad. It was a great movie. I'm so glad I saw it. I actually brought my daughter to see it. This was like the second movie she's ever been to, and she was interested. She was like, "Oh, that's that speech." Like, she was interested, and like as a dad, that made me happy, right? Because Mario's been around since we've been alive, and we saw the disaster, which was, the first attempt to make a Mario movie. It literally had really nothing to do with the video games. And now we see this. We literally see all the references. Like the Donkey Kong scene was amazing. I loved all of that. Like, they had so many Easter eggs in this film. And just as a person who enjoyed video games and knows about Mario and grew up with Mario, like it just made me smile, like on the inside. Like, it was actually really dope to see everything just unfold in this movie, and like to be pleasantly surprised that the initial criticism that people had, like the voice actor of Mario, Chris Pratt, doing this. I don't think that he did a bad job. He didn't have to do a fake Italian voice in this movie, to make it, quote unquote authentic. Like he did as best as he could. It didn't bother me. It was fine. It worked. I enjoyed this movie from beginning to end. Like it was really dope. So I think that everybody should go see it, especially if you're a video game fan, period. You don't even have to really be a Mario fan, but I think you would be doing a disservice if you didn't at least check this one out, because this is not like the one that came out before. Nothing like it.
Not even close. I'm actually upset you didn't even see Ethos, because I wanted to discuss spoilers, bro, because there's some really cool shit in this damn movie. There's a lot of really good Easter eggs.
Mute myself?
No, you're going to participate.
No,
look at this. Trying not to work.
You just said that we spent so much time on Suicide Squad, so I'm happy I contributed so much to that. And I felt like, if you guys want to,
so you did that on purpose because you knew you wasn't ready to talk about Mario. Okay.
Yes,
No. I'm not gonna spoil nothing, but it was really cool sitting in the movie theater, and like it was just a lot of that's from that, and that's from that, and that's from that. But it never felt like they were trying too hard. It all felt natural and a part of the story. The animation in this movie was fucking top tier. Maybe because I don't watch animated movies as much these days, but this looks like Illumination's best looking movie. Some of like the lighting on it was really good. The voice acting didn't bother me at all. Like people were talking about Chris Pratt or whatever, but there's even a point in the story where they explain there's context to why he even has like a normal voice and not even an Italian one. So I thought that was a cool change. There's some changes to his actual story, not that it was that deep, but how'd you actually feel about that, Jay? Did you like those little changes that they made to the story for like the movie?
Yeah, like I said, it was cool. It didn't really bother me. Like, I don't even think people really care about like Mario's like quote unquote origin story, and you know what ended up happening overall with the whole arc with Peach and Bowser and like the different worlds and stuff. Like I don't think people really cared about it. Like at the end of the day, it's a children's movie. I mean, some people do.
Yeah, somebody overall, that lady made a whole viral post about how Princess Peach is pushing the feminist agenda about trying to destroy the nuclear family. Do you feel like your nuclear family was destroyed as someone with kids?
My wife laughed at that. She was like, "What the hell is people's problem?" Like seriously, I don't get it. Like I didn't feel like Peach was being a hardcore feminist. Like I could be, I'm independent. Like she was just like, "Look, I'm trying to save my kingdom." And I don't want Bowser coming here. like I don't want to marry this. Like that's all it was. Like it was nothing special to it.
I thought it added context to the story because like I talked about it in one video. I'm like, in the Super Mario video game, like whether we want to acknowledge it or not, the stories are very simple and stupid. Mario can just do shit. That doesn't work in a movie, especially considering like what's happened with the Sonic movies. Is introduced a new fan base, and I think Miyamoto knew this is a chance to introduce Mario to a new generation. So like it wouldn't have made sense to make a movie and he's just doing all this shit. So like they changed a little bit of Peach's character to influence Mario, and to me it made sense. And I don't understand so y'all gotta stop trying to make everything political, bro. It was not that
funny. Yeah, exactly. So they literally had to build him up. Like, yeah, that's exactly to your point. Like Mario just wasn't the I'm just gonna stomp on everything, you know, and eat all these, you know, power ups and figure out. Like he had to learn how to do these things. He literally got warped into this world, and he was like, "What the heck is going on?" So he was just not understanding how he got here. He didn't know anything about the world, so that was cool that they had him, you know, just learn to be the savior, the hero of the kingdom. So that was cool. Did you see what John Leguizamo said though?
Nah, what'd he say?
So John Leguizamo was upset because he said that he wanted some more representation in
First of all,
Mario.
all right, hold on. Excuse my ignorance. Who's John Lasagna?
John Leguizamo.
Oh my god.
John Leguizamo is the original Mario.
Okay, for the movies?
Yes,
okay.
The original Mario. And he was upset because, first of all, he said that he did not get contacted by Miyamoto or anybody who worked on the previous Mario or worked on this Mario to be a part of it.
Does he know nobody likes that movie? Like...
I think he's delusional because there is a small cult audience that likes the movie.
Yeah.
But overall, he has to be oblivious if he thinks that like people really revere that movie.
What does he mean by representation? What exactly did he say? Because you got Italians, you got diversity, women, turtles, monkeys.
Because you had a white guy doing Mario. That's why
he's Italian.
He was really upset at that.
He's Italian though. What?
Exactly, and John Leguizamo is Puerto Rican, which is even more hilarious. I know that is Spanish. You know, it's close to Spain, like Italy's right there. So I understand that part. But you Puerto Rican, bro. Like, and Mario is Italian, and yes, you got casted for that role back in the day, but it doesn't matter, bro. This isn't even live action. It's a cartoon.
I hate when people do that shit because then you're just giving these weirdo conservatives talking points. See, they're trying to make everything. Whoa! We don't back that. Like let him be Italian. I'm cool with that. That's what the fuck he is, dude.
I was like, Mario has always been Italian. He wasn't Puerto Rican, bro. Like you just happened to get that role, and it was fine. But the movie sucked. Like it's funny. It's fun to watch and laugh at. You know that movie isn't even available on any streaming services. Like at all.
Nintendo don't want you to know it exists. I don't blame them. Nintendo don't want you to know.
You got to get a DVD. Yeah, they're literally trying to bury that shit. That's how
I bet you Nintendo can't wait for all the millennials to die, so that the memory of that movie can be gone, bro.
Like, this is it. This is the only Mario movie, but it was great though. You know, minus the people being upset about it, the small amount of people that were upset about it. I think, you know, just like the general public that was initially upset at Chris Pratt, once you actually saw it, it like really changed your mind. You're like, okay, this movie is actually really good.
You know what generally shocked me about the movie too was that movie was fucking funny, bro. Like I was legitimately laughing out loud in the movie theater. And granted, I think this is why it reviewed poorly with the professional critics. you do have to know the source material in order to understand the jokes. They're like inside jokes. But then my counter argument to that is like, why would you go see a Mario movie if you don't play video games? Like there were so many of those reviews on websites like, oh, I haven't played a game since the 80s. But why are you going to see a Mario movie, bruh? Like there's no way you can't tell me that like the Lunastar, the Lumily, the blue joint, you know what I'm talking about from the Galaxy universe?
Yeah.
That motherfucker was funny as shit, bruh. That motherfucker was funny as shit. I'm like, there's no way that you didn't enjoy this. I think there was just a disconnect, and that's okay. If you have not seen it, I would highly recommend checking it out. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was funny when I went to go see it. There was an older gentleman that showed up with, I'm gonna assume was his grandchild or like his little nephew or something like that. And he like tapped my shoulder. He's like, hey man, he's like, is this the Mario movie? And I was like, you're in the right way. You're in the right place. I think he was confused because half the theater was adults. It wasn't just kids. We were like, yeah, like I know you saw the poster, dude. You're in the right. You're okay. You're okay. It's
just had to confirm, bro. You're like, wait a minute. I don't think I'm in the right place. Am I in the right place?
Nah, it was a fun, silly, simple movie, and I'm okay with that. I think
what I'm
go ahead.
Potentially excited about though is them making more. Because, you know, now the rumors are starting.
This is why I wish Etho saw it, bro.
Yeah. I need to see myself. It's not that hard. I can just
it was. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I made a video about it. There's some dope shit. I don't know if Miyamoto did it intentionally or not, but like he left the lane wide open to do some cool ass fucking movies, bro. Like some crossover type shit. And I'm gonna leave it at that. It's definitely worth seeing. You got to see it when you get a chance, Ethos. You be working too hard. They said you look mad tired on the fucking last podcast, so I'm gonna need you to relax, go see a movie, get a nice little baddie.
I be working, bro. I be working my ass off. That's why.
Man, this man on that crunch, bro. You
Damn. Let me find out. You was criticizing Dev Crunch, but you doing it to yourself. Let me find out.
I am my worst enemy.
Damn.
Are we all? Speaking of enemies fighting, Street Fighter, one of the most prominent video games in video game history. Some would argue that Street Fighter 2 gave a second kind of renaissance to the arcades back in the 90s. And ever since, Street Fighter has been coasting. Street Fighter, and it really showed with Street Fighter 5. But anyways, Street Fighter 6, they recently had an event. Well, Capcom recently had an event where they showcased the game. They showed off new features, the hub world, DLC. I don't like when they do that during events, but whatever. And then at the end of the event, it was like a 35-minute event. They dropped a bomb. They said, hey, by the way, they pulled a hi-fi rush. They said the demo for Street Fighter 6 is available for download right now on the PS4 and the PS5. Now, I don't know who played it on the 4, but I know me and JG played it on the 5. If you haven't gotten a chance to play it or you weren't aware, then yes, there is a demo available on PlayStation. With this demo, you can access the story mode, and then also you can play 1v1 where you have access to 2 characters, which include Luke and Ryu. We got some hands-on time with it. I'm gonna go ahead and take the helms on this one. I feel like Street Fighter's back. I notoriously hated Street Fighter 5. Didn't like the V-trigger. The netcode was horrible. Too much DLC for me. But Street Fighter 6 feels like an apology for Street Fighter 5. There's a lot of content, and that hub world has got me excited. So for those who missed it, you get to create your own character, which, by the way, the character creator is deep as fuck. I was like actually thoroughly impressed by this. Once you create your own character, you have this whole story mode where you get to meet different fighters in the Street Fighter universe. Almost kind of like Xenoverse, where you can pick up new mentors, and you can create your own custom character with their own fighting moves, and then you can basically fight anybody in the world. There's going to be like unique boss fights alongside the story, and then you'll also be able to challenge other people online. And from what I was told by several people is that there will be proximity chat, so I will be there day one trolling, talking about people's outfits, and picking fights. And then the 1v1 was fire. Oh, by the way, drive gauge, that's new. It's got a whole new counter parry system. I feel like I've been rambling. Jay, what did you think of Street Fighter 6?
Yeah, so I had a little chance to play it. I did the world tour, and I'm actually excited for it. I did not think that I would be excited for Street Fighter 6 at all. But if I don't do anything else, I think I will play that mode. It was a little bit corny. Like, I don't really care about the story that much, but I enjoyed the concept of it. Just running around the world, picking fights with everybody. getting the chance to see other mentors, like you were literally gearing up to meet like Chun-Li and learn some of her moves. Luke is your first mentor / coach. So I like what they're doing there. They're going to slowly, introduce more characters that you can run around and see. The character creator, like you mentioned before, is dope. So I enjoy that mode. I think I'll be spending a lot more time on that mode. And I actually like the modern controls. Like I understand
scrub.
Hey, come on, man. I'm bad. I'm bad at fighting games. I will admit that. I'm bad at fighting games. I'm not the best, but I enjoy it.
I respect that.
I at least wanted to try it out, though. I don't think I'll be playing with modern controls, but I enjoy the simplicity of it. And I think that alone is going to bring more people into the game just because they're making it easy to do combos. It's like, all right, just press one button or press it, just one button multiple times instead of doing actual directional commands, and you could do moves. Like, I actually like that. It's simple and it works. So I like what they did there. I know that the FGC community might not like it. I've seen some people already bitching, and now there's this new thing that.
What they saying though? I missed that. What they bitching about?
I mean, it was just like when Fighters came out, right? When DBZ Fighters came out, they didn't like the auto combos, and it's basically what this is. It's sort of like auto combos, but you can still chain them together if you're halfway decent, but people are going to be upset at that. I don't know if they're going to change any rules or ban them or whatever, but I know they didn't ban them for fighters. You could do auto combos if you want, and some people actually did it because that's how you got the Dragon Ball in there. So I don't know. It's always going to be people upset at what people do to make games simple, but they literally do that so that more people can enjoy the game, because some people just don't have 10-12 hours every day to go in training or spar with somebody to learn the game and get good at it. But it's cool. I actually like it. Like I said, it's simple, it works. So I think I'll be definitely playing Street Fighter 6 when it comes out. I just don't like the DLC crowd because I knew they were going to do it because it's Capcom. Capcom is on that bull like always, but we'll see. We'll see how many characters that they come out with.
I'm only okay with them talking about the DLC at the event if the DLC is new content. The problem is they were like, oh, for year one, you're gonna get 5 characters. Akuma, this person, this. I'm like, bro, these are staples. That should be in the fucking game, and I don't understand why people are just cool with that shit.
Yeah.
Going back to the auto combos, I personally didn't like the new control scheme, and not because I'm some elitist. I'm not some sweat, but I played with it both for a little bit. I played the demo for like 3.5 hours, and I didn't like the auto combos because I didn't feel like I was in control. Like, it was a lot of just niggas doing strings. Like, it was just a lot of just do and just like I was flipping and dipping all over the place, and I was like, yeah, I feel like that's cool. Like, if you just want to casually play with your friends, but if you want to take the game seriously, turn that shit off, bro. Because once I put it on classic mode, I felt much more in control, and I was doing exactly what I wanted to do. And by the way, the inputs are not hard in this game. They were fairly easy. So I was stringing together some really good stuff to the point where I went and did the 1v1, and I got up to being able, there's 8 levels in the CPU. I got to being able to beat level 6. I was close to beating 7. I was getting my ass beat on 8, but I was actually really sweating on it because I actually really like the new drive gauge. There's this new meter that sits at the top of the menu. And then on the PlayStation controller, you hold circle and triangle, I believe, and your character glows blue. And when somebody attacks you, you counter them. And then there's a small window where you parry them, and there's a small window where you can counter them. And then there's also these heavy attacks that you can use that use a drive meter that basically can beat anything. And the only thing that can beat it is if that person does it back to you. So it creates this kind of rock, paper, scissors game. It felt like Street Fighter was easy to pick up, but it's going to be a hard to master game. And I think that's going to bring in a lot of people. I just really hope they get that net code right, because that online mode looked a lot of fun. I can't wait to get in that proximity chat and just talk shit about everybody's character and be able to build your own character. I think it's going to create some really dope online experiences, because I wouldn't be surprised if you have traditional Street Fighter 6 tournaments and then create a character like Me Fighter type shit, since I think it's going to be wacky and unbalanced. You're going to see some. Don't be surprised if you see some NBA 2K type YouTube videos. Best build in Street Fighter 6 type beat, because the customization was that deep, and I'm not mad at it.
They might ban it. If it gets too crazy, because you could probably, get some crazy, combination in there. And I guess it would just all depend on how intricate that's going to be, how deep the customization is going to get, because we only got like a small sample size. Once you actually start seeing all the mentors and getting all that stuff together, I'm actually very curious to see like what you could truly do with your creative character in their World Tour mode. So we'll see, but they might ban it.
Only time can tell when the game drops in June. I was going to pick it up regardless because I like Street Fighter, but like this actually got me genuinely excited about the game. I was having a lot of fun. I did not expect it. It's like a 30-minute demo. I ended up spending 3 hours on it. I didn't expect to spend that much time on it. So
yeah, no, I want to beat some people up in the Discord. We got to do some tourneys. And some Nevos is definitely going to be in full effect.
What's our Discord, Jay?
Discord.gg/GI updates.
Link in the description box below, bitches. Moving on to the next topic since the last podcast. Something strange happened. So there's this game that was in closed alpha a year ago that Ubisoft released, and it was supposed to be like a Call of Duty competitor called Xdefiant. The alpha came out. I played it. I know somebody else in GI played it. Did one of you two play it?
I played it. I think we all played it.
Yeah, we all played it.
And we all agreed. It was like, it's not terrible. We was like, man, like what's the point of this? And something happened. A closed beta came out where it was hard to get a code, but it was much easier compared to the alpha. That alpha was super tight. And like the internet's just been raving about Xdefiant. Like I looked at my analytics. There's this cool new feature, by the way, on YouTube for all the content creators out there. If you go into your analytics and then you go to the research tab, it'll tell you what your audience is researching. And one of the highest searched words is Xdefiant. And I'm like, all right, what's going on, bro? So, you know, I hopped into discord.gg/GI updates. I added everybody and I said, who got a code? I ended up getting the code from the Discord, so shout out from the Discord. And I started hopping on the game and I was like, okay, I don't understand the hype. Like people are calling it the Call of Duty killer, but I do think that it did improve from the first time we played it, but the improvements are so minuscule. I think where it improved is it moves and it flows better and the performance is better, like it runs better. But in terms of core gameplay, it kind of feels the same. It's like, it's for those unaware. Okay, let me explain it. Xdefiant is a team-based shooter. I call it Call of Duty Ubisoft All-Stars. So mechanically, it feels like Call of Duty, but then it has a class system, almost like Call of Duty meets Overwatch. And there's different classes from each Ubisoft game. So you have the Echelons, which are from Splinter Cell. You have DedSec from what's the Watch Dogs? What other classes? You got the Fire people from the Division. Just a bunch of the Ubisoft, which is weird, by the way, because they don't have an Assassin's class. You would think they'd have like a Templar class or something. That's the biggest Ubisoft game, but you get the point.
They don't use guns, so that's probably why.
But yeah, there's a bunch of different classes from different Ubisoft games, and they all have different abilities, and you got to sit there and figure out which, you know, mix and match is the best. Yeah, they got the Far Cry class. That class is fucking broken, by the way, the healer. And people have been raving about this game. For me, the only reason I do like it, but I don't understand the hype. The only reason I'll continue to play it is because it's going to be free to play when it launches. And it's going to have crossplay, which makes it a great community game. It makes it mad inclusive, mad woke. But in terms of like gameplay and being innovative, I don't really understand whatever but I honestly feel like, and there's no logic behind this, I honestly feel like people hate Modern Warfare 2 so much right now. They're lifting up Xdefiant as if it's something just mad original. What about you, Jay? What you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what people are talking about. I'm trying to figure out why people are so like hype about this, because I was expecting something different. I've been seeing some people, and here comes my conspiracy hat. I think that Ubisoft is throwing the bag to certain influencers.
That's not possible. I'm going to go ahead and debunk it. That's not possible. They're broke, remember?
Yeah, man. Okay, whatever they have in their reserves, I think that they're spending it, because there's no way that random big influencers just all of a sudden start talking about Xdefiant. There's no way. Like we saw one person in particular who always is in everybody's business. That man was talking about Xdefiant, like multiple tweets, like showing clips, like, oh man, like this person who I know making this look like classic Call of Duty. I'm like, what? I'm like, did they completely redesign the game? And then I finally got into it. I was like, it's the same shit. Like, you still have the same classes. I thought that they like took the classes out and made it just a standard, like, okay, well, you can play TDM if you want to. Like, the the clip that I was seeing, they were like playing in like just regular TDM, but I'm like, you still have a class system, you still have only objective mode. So I was like, what truly changed in this game? Like, there are still classes that are busted. I didn't feel like any true fun playing this game, especially considering that we played the alpha and we were like, oh no, this is going to be trash. Why is Ubisoft even making this game? I thought that they were done with it. All of a sudden they came back and now people are hyping it up. I don't understand. Did like nobody know about this game at all? I'm thinking that probably was it, because I don't think people got into the alpha. Like you said, it was very close. Only a certain amount of people got to play it. So I truly don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it is what you said, that people are just sick of Modern Warfare 2. That game's going downhill and people are just looking for something else.
I think people are really thirsty.
Always happens. Yeah, like I said, I truly don't know. It's weird. This is a very weird anomaly going on. But I think that Ubisoft are definitely throwing whatever money that they have. I think they're throwing it to certain influencers to hype it up, because ain't no way that random people are talking about this game like it's the second coming of Jesus here. Like it's just it's not happening.
The main thing I see people praising is the movement system, and then like the people really enjoyed the sweaty ass quick scopes in there. But then that's confusing to me too. Like I've ran into several pros playing the beta, and the only reason I know they're pro players is because they shoot like fucking aim bots, but then it's in their name. And then like I'll search them up on fucking Twitter. I'm like, oh, this dude's like a legit sweat. So like it's attracting the pro community, and it's because they're saying they love the movement system. But I seen a tweet, right? I think it was from that reporter Jake Lucky or whatever, the YouTuber, and he was talking about like, oh, the pros are loving Xdefiant because of the movement system is so amazing. And then another like content creator replied to him, and he's like, y'all niggas don't play games. He's like, how y'all gonna sit here and praise this shit for the movement system, but then you let Titanfall 2 fail? And I'm like, thank you, you motherfuckers don't like. I'm like, this is not a bad game. I cannot stress that enough. It's not a bad game, but the way people are hyping it up, and then you're talking about the movement, but then y'all played Apex instead of Titanfall. It's very confusing to me, and it kind of goes back to like, a lot of y'all will not play a game unless a certain creator or somebody says, oh, this is a good game, then it's a good game, not because you fucking enjoy it. Ethos, didn't you uninstall this game on stream, I think?
Yeah, I uninstalled this game after
Why?
an hour or 2 hours.
Why is that?
I didn't like it. I'm not in the camp of agreeing that this game's better. I had optimization issues. People saw on the stream. I would boot the game up. I would get 7 frames per second on the main menu. It would crash. It crashed on me at least 2 times. I do see some improvements with it, but I'm gonna be honest with you, the net code I don't think is good either. I was getting shot behind walls multiple times.
Oh yeah, facts. The lag compensation.
I could not stand the lag and like I can't tell you how many times like people would jump around a corner and just one shot me immediately, or I felt like I didn't have a chance of even reacting to them. I think the game's just a big sweat fest. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I feel like the game's just gonna die, because if you kill off your casual fan base and all that's left is a bunch of sweaty people running around, then you're gonna basically, that's what happened in Titanfall. The only people left who were playing Titanfall were people who were really good at the game, and that just made it so casual players couldn't get into it multiplayer wise, because it was just there was such a skill level that you had to reach, and if you couldn't touch that skill level, you weren't going to survive, because all the casuals left the game. Yeah, I also agree with what you said. I mean, I've ranted about this. I'm not going to rant again about it, but it always just flusters me how I just can never understand this argument about people saying like, oh, it's such a good move, the movement system's good. I guess if they're talking in the sphere of like what Call of Duty movement is, then yeah, I guess so, because it feels like it reminds me a lot of like, it plays like a faster Black Ops 2, and I feel like that's where a lot of Call of Duty players feel like his peak movement for Call of Duty was around the Black Ops 2 movement era, just a little bit faster. People didn't really want the wall running and stuff, but they did like Black Ops 3's like sliding and stuff like that. They just didn't like the wall running stuff, but in the thrusting. But like that seems like what they did. It seems like they just took basically what old Call of Duty and like what you said, they put in Ubisoft All-Stars, they put in all these characters, and then they just added Overwatch mechanics into it, and then just called it that. Me personally, my own beef with the game, not even beef, but my own meme about the game is that the guy who's directing this game, I remember distinctly because I'll never forget his face. The guy who's directing this game, the lead producer for this game, is the same guy that was responsible for Call of Duty Ghosts. And as you know, I notoriously hate that game. I think it's the worst Call of Duty ever to be invented. And if he was the brainchild, the mastermind behind that game, there's only so much I could trust it. I will say though, I will give him credit though, and I will give their team credit. I have not seen a shooter in the last decade have a lobby system map voting, and a way for you to like stay with your teammate, stay in the lobby that you're in. These are things that have been fundamentally stripped and taken away from shooters since like I think after Halo. I think Halo was the last one I can remember that used to do that. And the old Call of Duty used to let you have lobbies, and then as time has gone on and design philosophy has changed, a lot of these shooters have gotten stripped out lobby systems, and it has killed that level of like that community aspect that I feel like a lot of shooters used to have, where you know if you lost in a match, right, it wouldn't just eject you back to the lobby and you just have to find new people to fight. There would be that like shit talking moment. We're like, oh no, you're actually garbage. No, run it back. Like there's always that aspect of like at least the ability to run it back against the same people that beat you or that you beat. And that was taken away from us, and I feel like that was like a huge part of like just the shooter culture that I feel like was just taken from us, that just for the sake of like I guess like limiting toxicity. But I'm surprised to see that they actually brought that back. These were core things that a lot of Call of Duty fans were asking for, was map voting. Map wise, I agree with you. I feel like a lot of the maps are kind of like Call of Duty maps. They're just straightforward. I did like the Splinter Cell map. I'm a big Splinter Cell fan. I'm in the ditches still. Us Splinter Cell fans, this is the only way we can ever even play as anybody remotely related to Sam Fisher. They're in other games. We're never going to get a new Splinter Cell game, so that's depressing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think I'll be excited to play this game when it comes out. Maybe if they fix the optimization, I'll give it a shot. But I just didn't enjoy it.
That's when somebody leaves a comment. They say, well, there's a Splinter Cell remake coming. Well, actually.
Well, when I see it, I'll believe it.
Yeah, this game also has some glaring issues, too. Issues that, like, I see a lot of people abusing. If you hop on the game, like, what was it, 6v6? When you play the 6v6, probably 10 people out of that lobby, including your teammates and the other side, are playing that healing class in Far Cry, which by the way, why is Far Cry 6 a class in the damn game? You don't have assassins? What? But there's a healing class.
That's what I was saying. I was like, why is there no assassins? Like, you remember Black Ops 3?
Why? Because they don't have guns. They're not going to be like suicide.
Templars would have guns.
No, because in Black Ops 3, do you remember the Spectre? Do you remember he had the cloak and he run around and shank people with the hidden blade he had? They could have just like copied him and put him in there and said those are the assassins.
I mean,
it would have fit. The Templars ran around with guns in the modern day, and I'm pretty sure the assassins probably would have.
Okay,
ran around.
But yeah, there's a healing class under the Far Cry class, and what the problem with it is, you'll shoot somebody and then they'll start running away. They'll hit the heal and they become invincible for like 5 seconds and they're regenerating health. That shit is infuriating, and you know it's broken because everybody's running it and then they're super sweaty. And I'm just like, this is the type of shit that makes people quit the fucking game, bro. I'm like, you guys are trying too hard and then you're exploiting a problem with the game. And then there's no kill cam. Some of them headshots I was getting hit with in the sniper, the quick scoping in that game, I'm like, bro, I don't know, man. And Ubisoft, it doesn't have the best track record when it comes to cheaters, especially when it comes to like Rainbow Six Siege. So like some of the shit that they were pulling off while we were playing, I'm like, this is far too sweaty. But then also like some of this is like, yeah, you'll be behind cover and they're still hitting you in the head. And I'm like, bro, is this like lag compensation? Are you using wall hacks? I'm like, bro, this is a little bit too much for me for like a goddamn beta. I was like, I just feel like people are hyping it because motherfuckers are, it's a great time to be a single player gamer. But right now, multiplayer, it's a little dry. I think you guys are a little desperate. You're just hyping up the next thing. But like, do I see this lasting long term? No, especially because we haven't even seen the business model. Come on, guys, this is Ubisoft. Free to play game. Come on, they're going to be charging fucking $50 for a gun and shit. I don't know, man. This Xdefiant stuff. Seeing is believing for me. I'm not saying it will fail, but yeah, the jury's out on that one.
Will people really be talking about Xdefiant when the next Call of Duty comes out? Let's be real.
You already know the answer to that.
They are not. They're not. Let's be real here.
Yeah, so we'll see. It says coming soon when you played the beta, so the full game should be. It felt like the game is done. They just need to tweak and do a lot of balancing. Let's talk about another game that dropped since the last podcast. This one dropped just the other day. Matter of fact, when I first came in the Discord, I heard JG ranting about how much he loved Dead Island 2. Now, for those of you unaware, Dead Island 2 is a game that was in development hell for 8 years. It is the sequel to Dead Island 1, but fun fact, it's actually the third game in the series because there was Dead Island Riptide, and now there's Dead Island 2. Yeah, this is a zombie game that takes place in LA. It's kind of semi-open world. You hit zombies, got a quirky personality. There's 4 different characters, special abilities. Do you feel like this was worth the almost 10-year wait, JG, for Dead Island 2?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm like thoroughly disappointed that we waited 10 years and got pretty much the same game, just with updated graphics. I remember when Dead Island first came out, I like rented it on GameFly. I was like excited because I was like in my zombie game phase there with this and Dead Rising. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it, and I got pretty much bored, and I don't even think I beat that game. And then, you know, we get the preview, you know, everybody keeps talking about the trailer, and they were like, oh, it's gonna look so dope, da-da-da. Then another came out. We wait 10 years. Between that, Dying Light came out, which pretty much stole its thunder. You have the same mechanics, but you also have parkour. You actually have a decent story, and you have other elements like nighttime. Yeah, nighttime, where you're like scared of shit, having to get away from those super zombies. Then, so like that pretty much just took over whatever little thing that you may have had in the corner, just waiting on another Dead Island to come out. Then it finally comes out. I played 30 minutes, probably not even 30 minutes, and I ain't seen all that I needed to see. You're not going to get me with the same mechanics that, oh, you just pick up random items and you just hit a zombie. You can get a critical if you hit his head. You can stomp him and rinse and repeat. Like, it's literally the same stuff. The story does not give me any way, shape, or form hyped up. The graphics are okay. That's pretty much only a thing that I can say as a positive, but I didn't need to play this game longer than 30 minutes to know that it's not for me. It's literally the same stuff. Dying Light is here. You even have a Dying Light 2 that ended up coming out after being delayed. If you want a zombie game, if you really want to play a zombie game, just play Dying Light. I don't see any reason to play
on the Epic Store
Dead Island 2. Yeah, all right, there you go. So there's really no reason for you to not play it.
Yeah, I share the same sentiment. Like, the one positive I give about this game is, like, I was actually impressed. It does look really good on PC. I don't know what it looks like on console, but the game does surprisingly look really good. And it ran really well too. I didn't even download the drivers. I had no issues with it. It was very optimized. But outside of that, it feels like the same game from the Xbox 360, just with improved visuals. And for me, it's like, that's not really worth the wait. There's a perk system in here. I played for a few hours. I got to the first boss fight, and then I uninstalled it because it was just fucking boring, bruh. There's like a perk system where, like, but even the perks aren't particularly interesting. It's like, oh, hit somebody in the kneecap and you'll get a 5% damage boost for 10 seconds. I'm like, okay. I didn't really care to explore the world. Not that there's much to explore anyway, because it's not fully blown open world. The fact that here's another thing too. Like, I feel like the zombie genre is just a very acquired taste. I think the only reason I loved Dead Rising was because of how unique the story was, the whole time mechanic, and then the fact that you could pick up like anything in the mall and use it like as a weapon. Like, I felt like it had a charm to it that this game lacks, as well as Dying Light. It had a charm to it. This one, it feels like a game that should have came out like in 10 years ago. Does it make it bad? No, but it is objectively mediocre. It's very uninspired. Once you unlock, did you get to the point where you unlocked the dropkick, Jay?
No, I didn't even get to that part. I got to the part where I could dodge, and that was it.
Oh yeah, you was like at the mansion.
Bro, no, I'm telling you, I stopped playing. I was like, I'm done, bro.
Yeah, once you unlock the drop kick about an hour in, that's the whole meta. You run up to the zombies, you drop kick, you'll kick 5 of them back, and you just hit them in the head and rinse lather. It was so fucking boring. I mean, yeah, you could play any other way, but why would you play inefficiently? And then I would imagine you get the guns, drop kick, and then just shoot them. I felt like the game was too easy too, because the stamina in this game, I don't know if you noticed, like, it never really felt like it was an issue for me. You're very buffed in terms of the stamina, so it's zombies. They're mindless enemies. There's no depth to the combat. Even the boss fight that I got to, it was just a big zombie and she would swipe at me. I literally would just dodge back, hit her 2 or 3 times, dodge back, hit her 2, 3, and then she would do a ground pound, and I'd just jump in the air and then just hit her in the head. It was so fucking boring. The entire time I was just interface. And then on top of that, there's a streamer mode inside of the game. Did you activate the streamer mode, Jay?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so when you activate the streamer mode, newsflash developers, it's good you put it in the game, but please replace it with something else. So like I thought my game was glitching, but then I later found out during the boss fight there was supposed to be music there, but they never put any type of royalty-free music in the streamer mode. So then like I'm just fighting a boss and it's dead ass silent. It was weird as shit. It's like if you're gonna do that, put the level of attention to detail. Like a good example would be the Guardians of the Galaxy streamer mode. And that it has a completely different soundtrack that's royalty free, and the game is still fun because of it. This game is, I'm not gonna say it's dog shit, but it's definitely a pick it up when it's like $20 if you and your friends just want something silly to do, like some mindless shit. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, you know, everything that has to be a masterpiece. I'm not saying that, but like this game is objectively mediocre.
And I'm saying it. Don't buy this shit. I don't care how much it costs. Don't buy it, because honestly, it's a disappointment. It's a slap in the face that like we waited 10 years and we got literally like the same stuff. Like no mechanics were really updated to the point where I'm like, oh my god, this is innovative. Like what were you all doing in 10 years that you gave us this? Like I truly don't understand, and that's what I'm really upset about. It's the amount of time that it took to get the same product that we got 10 years ago.
Yeah, well, what they were doing, they were fighting for their life, for like funding and shit. That's what they were doing.
But it's just like, it's okay if they didn't bring Dead Island 2 out. Like, I don't think that maybe they felt like, oh, this is a service that we needed to give our fans that, were waiting on it because we didn't deliver from the trailer that we showed so long ago. But you didn't need to. Like, I don't think that anybody was really hurting. Like, oh my God, I'm going to cry if I die before Dead Island 2 comes out. Like, I don't think it was on that type of time. I don't think that really anybody was that hardcore that you just had to have this game, that you had to play it in your life before you left. It's fine. Like, you could have just left it where it was, unfinished and unreleased.
All this game needed was a couple original gameplay mechanics, and it would have been its saving grace. I mean, to be honest, that's the difference between Dying Light and Dead Island. There's only a couple different games, but I mean, that's what you need to stand out, and it's more of the same. I'd rather leave Dead Island in high school or early college, whenever that came out for me. It didn't hit the same. It just didn't hit the same. But hey.
Oh, did you see Sam D?
Oh yeah,
Sam
the rapper.
The games.
Voodoo, you voodoo bitch.
Bro, the game? Years later, and he's still in there. Yes, he's in there.
Is he singing Voodoo, you voodoo? I love that shit.
Nah, not from what I played. Like, he's just kind of like somebody who mentors you.
Oh, that's cool.
Just blacking it up.
I'm gonna defend this game. I'm gonna say y'all being too harsh on this. I don't think the game's bad from what I've watched. I haven't played it, but what I will say is I can appreciate the game from a technical standpoint, because there's stuff in that game that I've seen from a technical standpoint that I thought was impressive. I think y'all giving it a little bit too harsh. I think the graphics look really good.
I said that.
I think it's different. Yeah, well, what I'm saying is I think the game looks really good. And then the one thing I noticed, I saw a couple of people posting it on the internet where I was like, wow, that's really impressive, is the gore. Like, when you kill stuff or blow stuff up, like the level of detail that, like, when the blood like sprays on the walls, like it's very realistic, like how where the explosion happens, like how the blood spreads out. Like, it actually seems to be has like force control and like some sort of physics involved with it. I thought that stuff was really cool. I thought some of the destruction stuff looked cool. I guess I'd ask you guys, since you guys played it, did you guys get to the point where like they were introducing the different perks for the different characters and like their different abilities they would have?
I did.
Okay, and you didn't feel like that was enough?
It didn't do nothing for me.
What about like the different characters you play as, like each of them having their own story? Did you?
Well, at the beginning of the game, it only let you choose one character. I think you had to play co-op. I think this game would have been more fun if I was playing co-op, but then the problem with that, my counter argument to that always is, if you have to play a game on co-op, it's not that fun.
What if the game's built for co-op though?
It's not that fun.
I really don't think it was.
I don't think it was either.
Well, y'all, I tried. Y'all heard it. I tried, but it seems like they're set.
I commend you for your attempt,
did,
but you're not changing my mind.
I did. So this is a game y'all didn't beat.
Oh yeah, probably.
For sure.
Probably.
And I'm proud of it. I got my refund. I got my refund before we started to buy.
I got it for free. Deep Silver sent it to me. I was like, that's the only reason I played it. They gave me a copy. I was like, sure, but I was like, I just couldn't do it after 2 hours.
What would you rate it after you play it? Like what, like a 6? Like you just feel like
it felt like a 6. It felt like a 6. And like, here's the thing. Like, I'm at a point in my life where I'm not in the mood to play a fucking 6 anymore.
I mess with Deep Silver too, man. Shout out to Tinsley because they work with that with Deep Silver, but this ain't it. I wasn't excited, and after playing it, I got even less, excited. I was like really at a point where I was like, I don't need to play anything else. I pretty much know what the game is about.
What do you guys think the zombie genre needs to do to innovate? Because I think that's one of the biggest problems with the zombie genre. It's the zombies themselves. They're not. When I got to the boss fight, it was doing the same exact thing as the regular NPC zombies. And I'm like, where's the interesting gameplay mechanics? Like, is there anything y'all feel like it can do to innovate?
They need to become MMOs,
persistent
universes. Kind of like what was the name of that fake game? That game that was supposed to come out had like the day
fake
before.
Game the day before or something.
Oh, yeah, I feel like that's like the next game because you remember how people were hyped for that game? It's a zombie game, but people were like, "Oh, look at this! Like Arma and DayZ, like basically like DayZ." Like I feel like zombie games had to evolve into what DayZ became, but DayZ was just a technical nightmare to play. And I feel like no one's created it since because I'm assuming it's very difficult to do a multiplayer massive game like that and control a bunch of AI, I mean, the last one was like, that PlayStation game? That was like a mixed review game as well. So, what about Last of Us? Isn't that a zombie game?
I mean, yeah, technically.
Isn't that basically a zombie? That's basically a zombie
It's
game,
a zombie
right?
game, but I'd argue it's more about the relationships between humans.
So it's just the way the zombie games get good is they have to just have good stories. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, I agree. Maybe what you were saying, the open world thing could work too. Because I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, the day before could have been a really fun game because of the proximity chat, the community aspect of it. So like that could have worked, but that game's fake, so it doesn't really matter.
They said it's not fake. They said it's coming out.
You seen it?
As a developer using the same engine, I look at that and I say, interesting. That's all I will say right now. Yeah.
My people will be in touch with your people.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I would take something super wacky again like Dead Rising, to be honest.
What I will say, I don't like the revisionist history that people are calling this game a ripoff of Dying Light.
Dead Island 2 came. Dead Island came first. Yeah.
I'm telling you, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was watching you stream it, and some people were saying that in your chat, and I was getting so triggered. I was like,
I did correct some people.
I was getting so triggered. I was like,
it goes to show you.
Before Dying Light,
it goes to show you. It's about what's popular. What have you done for me now? It's the internet age we live in. Dead Island was inspired by Dying Light was inspired by Dead Island.
This is what's gonna be like in 5 years when kids say, "Hey, it's that character from Fortnite." Like, it's just so triggering sometimes. Yeah. We're hitting that part, so
I could argue in this case though, this is nobody to blame but Dead Island. Make a better game, then nobody would compare it to Dying Light.
Or they would say that, but you could actually be like, "Oh, but the game looks good or it plays good." It wouldn't matter if you were comparing it. You was like, "Oh, well, this is better."
Kudos to them for getting the game out of the door though. That's got a lot of heart. That's something.
Yeah, you go slugger.
Let's talk about a game that matters. Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Ethos, you got some hands-on time with it. It comes with 6 games from the Mega Man Battle Network series, which was a popular anime/video game series in the early 2000s. It's my personal favorite Mega Man, even over X. Fuck all you. I don't care if you get mad.
I agree.
Some people get mad when you say that shit. They released a collection. Surprisingly, it's been getting a little bit of hype on the internet. A lot of people love it. It's got like a cult-like following because I released a video and it's actually doing very well. It's another one of my highest search terms. Like, I'm so glad YouTube came out with this feature because like some of the stuff that like I'm not surprised by when I looked at my analytics. Okay, people are interested in Jedi Survivor, which I would imagine because the audiences bleed over, so I'm gonna imagine our audience is interested in that. But then I saw stuff like Pokken Tournament as well as Mega Man Battle Network, and I was like, okay, this is a very helpful tool. But my bad. Go to how do you feel about the collection? Do you feel like it's a pickup? Do you feel like it's a labor of love, something that Capcom did right?
Oh, I think it's definitely a day one pickup, especially if you have a Steam Deck. I feel like it's perfect for the Steam Deck. Shout outs to Ace. He already beat 2 of the games. I'm still on the first one.
I ain't seen him beat it.
I saw a picture. He posted a picture on Twitter showing that he beat.
I'm gonna post a picture.
We can check his trophies. We'll check his trophies. We'll have Stiggy check his trophies again. We'll have him verify. But overall, I mean, I love it. Like, I know some people will say, oh, it feels like they just emulated the games and put them all together. But I mean, like, this is like six, 7 games, including their variants of, like, because they tried to do the little Pokemon thing at one point.
Yeah.
And I didn't play all of them. I only played the first one, and I played a little bit of the second one, but I never got past that point. So
I heard from 3 on it's the best. I never played.
Yeah, I heard it gets better later on. Yeah, so I was like, if I loved it as a kid, 1 and 2, you know, I will say it is funny. I do crack up every time where I boot it up, and they're like, hey. They give that disclaimer about some of the stuff in this is culturally insensitive. Did you see it when you boot it up? And I was like, oh, this is pretty funny. I haven't seen what it is yet, but I'm like, I wonder what has an age well.
It's the old guy you find in the town in the first game, and he's like he's literally like he looks like he's like 80, and then he says, "I'm 30, I'm old." That's the culture. That shit was funny. That's the culture and stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's if you're a Mega Man fan, I think it's a day one pickup if you played it and you want to replay it again. And I think the new features of just adding multiplayer online, I feel like that's what sold me. I was like, oh yeah, once I get in this, like, you know, I'll definitely like play against TBH and Ace, and I'll beat both of them easily. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's a good collection. It runs well. I got it on PC, and the quality of life changes are really good. Jokes aside, I think Ace probably did beat it because there's a quality of life change in the game. I forgot what it's called. It's like Mega Buster mode or some shit like that.
To speed up.
Yeah, so you can speed through the. So one of the biggest problems with the game is when you're exploring the worlds, there's constant random battles, and it's very grindy. So to get past that, they made it to where you could set it to your Mega Buster. Your default attack does 100 damage, so you could just sprint to the boss fight. So what I did when I played it,
I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. So what I did was I sprinted to the world. I turned on that mode, and then once I got to the first boss fight, I turned it off so I could have like a real fight. It was a great experience. It was the game was much better.
Oh, so if I don't turn it off, it actually has you hitting the bosses for 100 too. Like,
yeah, you can speed through the bosses if you want to, but I didn't want to cheese the boss. So like, and you can turn it off and on whenever you want. I thought that was really dope.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I would have liked. I was surprised. I thought they would have upscaled it. I would have liked for it to be able to go full screen. It doesn't go full screen. It has multiple.
Has the border.
Yeah. And like the bigger you make it, it's like super pixelated. So it's Game Boy footage. It would have been nice if they kind of updated the pixels and cleaned it up a little bit, but
that's why I think it's best on Steam Deck. Like, I feel like it doesn't distract me when I'm on Steam Deck. I think that's the way to play it. Yeah, on a handheld, not playing it. Like, I'm imagining you're playing on like a bigger monitor. So
yeah, I was playing on the 27-inch, but it's still a great game that stands the test of time. I genuinely was enjoying it. I was like doing the voice acting, and like I was genuinely surprised by the amount of people that came in the Twitch and is like, oh, I fucking love this game. It came out. People love this series, and I think it's only like $30. It's worth a pickup if you want.
Know what the theory is, right? What? Is that Capcom does this a lot with all their franchises, see the interest in it before they make a new one. They remaster or they put together a collection. I think they did this with, I forgot the other series. They just did it recently with another series. Resident Evil is a good example. Like, and so what people are thinking is they might be going down, which JG's going to start cringing, but they might go down the route and they might remake these games and modernize them and make them 3D and whatever it is, or they might just add a new one to the series and make it like 3D and make it brand new. So
you think they're gonna make an Onimusha?
No, they'll never make that game.
Yeah, I hope they never do.
I hope KG suffers.
Oh yeah, man. If they bring back Mega Man Battle Network, I hope they bring the anime back too. That show was underrated. It was really good.
Yeah. You know, it got recommended in my my YouTube inbox because I was like watching people play the game. It was like, oh, did you know they're out there? I think a lot of them are on YouTube. You can just watch them directly on YouTube now.
Yeah, I watched the video essay about it last night. I learned one of the issues that they had with why the games were successful and the show wasn't. For some reason, this because it's still the early 2000s, anime wasn't like mainstream. For some reason, they aired the episodes out of order. So like kids were like confused. I was like, I didn't even know that. So like,
I didn't either.
It ended up dropping the ratings because like it was kind of all over the place and sporadic when they was releasing the episodes. I was like, man, I need to give my man Battle Network another shot, man. Mega Man X got a million different games. Battle Network's better.
I deserve some, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely pick it up if you want something different to play, and it has a bunch of games in the collection if you haven't played them, so it'll keep you busy for a long time. That's all I got in the leading conversation sections of the podcast. So we're gonna move on to the news section of the podcast, and the first one I think is a very interesting conversation, and I wanted to talk about the inevitable Ultron. known as AI, artificial intelligence. Matter of fact, we have a section in our Discord at discord.gg/GI updates where all the latest AI news, I post it there as well as other people in there. We talk about all the cool shit going on in the world. But AI is invading our video games. And recently there was a demonstration, online revolt against AI being used in games. What game was it? It was some game in China. Basically what happened was was it Naraka? Yeah, it was Naraka. So in Naraka, basically they used AI to create skins for the game using Midjourney, which is funny because that's what I use to make my thumbnails. It's a Discord app. And players didn't like it because they felt like the skins were lazy. So then people started protesting and uninstalling the game, and they stopped buying stuff and whatnot. So I wanted to bring up the conversation. Do y'all feel like it's inappropriate to use artificial intelligence to create in-game collectibles or skins and then charge people with it, considering how cheap it is to kind of use AI? Or do you think this is an efficient business model? What do you think, Jay?
Oh, this is a tough one. Yeah, because on one end of the spectrum, I'm like, well, if AI can create some dope ass skins, then, you know, if I want to buy it, like, or if it's something in the battle pass or something I can get for free, then that's cool. But I think, again, the problem is people are going to feel like that's lazy if you're not having someone, you know, actually create these models for whatever skins, especially if you're going to charge for it. I think that's where I get conflicted, because if you're using AI for it, it's like, damn, if you're going to charge for it, it's kind of messed up. So I can see both sides, but I think I'm leaning more towards I am okay with using AI for skins, because I know me personally, I'm not going to buy all these freaking skins, because I really like an advocate for not really buying all the microtransactions and stuff. But I know other people, you know, they'll buy all the microtransactions out the wazoo just because they like the stuff, or they, you know, they feel like they're going to play the game for a very long time. So for those people, again, I think it's just going to come to your personal preference, but I'm leaning more towards it's okay.
I'm kind of in a gray area, because my question would be, what's the quality of these skins? As somebody who uses, I use Midjourney all the time, and the problem with AI art is, and this is why I think because if you think about it, you can present the question, well, how did they know it was AI art? Because I highly doubt NetEase and Tencent told them this. But the way you're probably able to figure it out from my experience of using AI art is a lot of times it's good at creating body models and like faces, but it really struggles to like make hands. There's been plenty of times where like I'll type, one of the main things I've noticed is I'll be like, create a soldier that's holding a gun in space. And a lot of times they'll be holding the gun backwards. So I think where the lazy accusations come from is there's probably telltale signs given in the artwork that shows this was not created by a person, because my thing is, if you're using AI and the artwork is quality, I don't think anybody would complain. I think the problem is the quality, because then it also becomes, well, not only is it lazy, but then they're going to use the AI like, oh, I'm telling you, Midjourney is quick. If you type something in, you'll get something back in like 30 seconds on average. So who's to say these companies are not going to just spew out constant skins and collectibles every goddamn day, and they all look trash, and they're just trying to sell by a bundle. So like for me, I think I'm leaning more towards probably just letting humans do it, and actually being a little bit more purposeful and mindful in terms of what you're creating, because I would argue most of the shit they're going to put out is probably going to be garbage. What do you think, Ethos?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the, not even in the middle, but I kind of agree with you. As time has gone on, I feel like there's definitely, I tweeted about this a while back, but I was like, there seems like we have jumped the gun on this entire thing, and we've just jumped to utilizing this stuff as certain technology, and we haven't really took a step back and really analyzed like what are the actual consequences of using this. So many people, I feel like this is no different than a lot of like what's simply happened. I know a lot of people will try to say, well, you know, past examples of saying, well, you know, before electricity, you know, how did the people feel about like getting firewood and also electricity? So, well, there goes my job. And I feel like though it's kind of different, I think, for art, because I feel like art is inherently a human-made type of experience. It's something that humans have made, and it has a sort of like soul factor to it of like somebody's experiences, and a robot can't ever replicate that. So I totally get like from a soulless argument. Like I do agree that sometimes the art can be a little bit weird, but I think sometimes it can be very good. But a lot of times that it's good because it's just copying and replicating something that already exists. And I think that's the difference, is that I think a human can create something from nothing. You come up with, your brain allows you to develop and create something that's brand new. And it worries me because a lot of AI is just reiterating upon what already exists in the world and just making variations of it. It's not necessarily creating something brand new. It's just taking different styles that have already been created by an actual real person and then trying to replicate that style. With like whatever you're trying to prompt it to do. So while you are technically creating something like new in that, I guess that idea of like, oh, this specific visual thing I'm looking at has never been done before. How it got to that point is not something that's new necessarily. I am kind of scared of how this affects the future when it comes to jobs, and specifically when it comes to, and I don't even mean that as like people like utilizing that. I do think that this is something that artists can use as a toolbox tool to help them, like, you know, maybe get like, I just need maybe some sort of reference posing, or I just need some idea of like what an AI does, and then I can do my own type of thing based off of like this like reference I'm getting from an AI. But I'm a little scared about how, from a capitalism standpoint, how bigger corporations will utilize this as a tool to basically knock people out of their jobs, or basically be lazy about it. There's so many examples. I talk to so many other devs who bring this up to me about how, so there's times where game devs have to work with movie people in regards to like some project that they're working together on. And there's a big gap in like understanding, where a lot of people in the movie industry think that making games is very simple, or like how they make movies, and that they think, oh yeah, you could just put a gun here and you could have an explosion. Like that'll be pretty easy. But they don't understand the complexities and how difficult that actually is. And I think that's like the similar thing where I'm just like, I'm a little bit scared that like a lot of upper management, like Ubisoft, for example, where like kind of like how the whole NFT little craze had happened during the pandemic. And I'm a little concerned that a lot of them are just going to jump the gun and be like, you're telling me if we use this AI, we can just fire our entire art team. Why do we need an art team? We can just have the AI just draw all the art for us. And they'll probably try it and do that. And then, you know, what comes about of that is what I'm really concerned about, especially like, what does the in-game product look like? Which I'm guessing it's going to feel soulless. It's going to feel lacking somewhere. That's going to be hard for us to pinpoint. I can't tell you how many times we play games and how many times like you brought up TBH or UJG, where you're just like, you know, this game felt special. I feel a soul. Like I feel the soul of the developers in this game. Like I feel like they really put their hearts and souls into this game. And I feel like, you know, if you replace the art side of stuff, or if a certain management starts cutting off jobs of actual like artists, concept artists, you know, 3D artists, and they just have an AI do it, I wonder if like, that's what I'm thinking about, is I wonder how much of that's going to get lost in translation, you know, with whatever games come out in the future that is like powered by this sort of technology. So that's just my inner philosophical thoughts.
I get it. Like for like simple stuff like reference, it could work, but then when you're really trying to create like a detailed, awesome product, you're saying maybe leaning more towards humans. I mean, that's one of the reasons why, because I'm super into like paying attention to this stuff. That's one of the reasons why I haven't cloned my voice. Because like from what I've seen, like that shit is funny when you do it with the presidents. Like I seen some TikToks where they were talking about like, oh, it's easier than ever to be a content creator. All you got to do is just clone your voice and then type a script, and you could pump out videos, add some B-roll. And I'm like, no, you could copy my voice, but like only if I like spoke like this or like in a very specific tone. But there's so many different inflections and way that I deliver jokes. I don't know if an AI can copy that. I'm not convinced on it. Yeah, not yet. Yeah,
it'll get there. Yeah,
actually, you know what, y'all heard that Drake Weekend song? I don't know. It might be. Yeah.
Yep. That's what I'm terrified about. Is that like, think of it like this: like we're heading into. Oh my god, I hate this shit, bro. But I feel like every single month some shit happens in the world with some news or something like that, where I'm like, holy shit, you're getting closer and closer to like the fucking cyberpunk dystopia. Like in literally cyberpunk, like all the shit that's in that game is like literally like happening in front of my eyes. Like when I'm watching it, like the news talk about this sort of stuff. And every single time I'm like, damn, like that motherfucker Johnny was right. Like every single time I'm like, yeah, he was completely right. Like, yeah, he was a terrorist, but he was spitting. Every single bar he said is like literally every single argument that he had in that game was exactly what's happening now. And I'm terrified of the idea, like in the future where, I mean, we already had it, right? Where there was the artist and the VTubers or whatever it was that was completely AI. It wasn't a real person, right? And that was like already like, people were already like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, you know, like you're making fake people. And I'm terrified of the idea where like art becomes now even more like from a hyper capitalism standpoint. It becomes even easier for publishers, managers, people who have money, basically people who have power and money to take people who are artistic and just basically replicate them, like basically throw them into a robot and let the robot do it and be like, they're dead. Like, I wonder how people are going to feel when like this technology gets so good that then people start bringing people back from the dead and start using them to make new music.
Are, bro. Did you not see the thing that they put in the Discord?
I'm saying officially.
Michael Jackson singing Munch.
Yeah,
I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's like people joking, right? That's like that's the joking meme stuff. But I'm talking about when it's like the label that owns his masters puts his masters into an AI and trains it to become another Michael Jackson. And then in the future, we have a holographic Michael Jackson. Acts like him, talks like him, sings him like what you said, hits the same notes, the inflections, and is making new music. Like, how disturbing is that going to be for us that now, like, technically we can't die? Like, it's now like our souls are being carried over into a machine.
I think it's crazy you said that. That's crazy you said that though, because I saw an article that literally like people are trying to get AI to get someone like a loved one's voice, and get them translated into it, and get them trained so that they can say things to you. I'm like, do you really want that? That's like some Black Mirror shit. Y'all better calm down.
And that's the thing I find is like a lot of people like laugh about this shit, and it's disturbing to me that some people see this shit and they post it and they're just like LMAO, or they're just like, oh yeah, like this shit's like, oh, this is crazy. But I'm like, every single time I'm sitting here, I'm like mentally I'm being like terrified because I'm just like, this is like literally something from Black Mirror. And the whole point of Black Mirror is to tell it's not like it's supposed to be fucked up, but it's not like, it's a warning. It's like literally like we watched all these sci-fi shows that told us, you know, things about AI, robots, how like, you know, you can't just let it go rampant and do whatever it wants. Like and why like technology will always be fast, but we have to like slow down. Like, we can't just let technology do whatever it wants. Like, there needs to be rail guards, and we just ignore it. Like, I'll give an example, and I'm done. I remember where me and my friends were talking about this, where like we were watching Jurassic Park back when we were kids, right? And I remember how a lot of people were like, that is dumb. Like, who the fuck would bring dinosaurs back from the dead and make a theme park about it? But nowadays, like, I don't even think that's dumb. I think like it's totally plausible now. And that's terrifying that my mind has completely shifted on that, where when I was a kid, I was like, this is stupid. No one would ever do this. To now, like, I'm seeing like similar type of stupid shit happening in the world. And I'm like, oh my God, like, how long before we actually have Jurassic Park exist? Like, it's a real thing.
You know what it is? A lot of it draws back to the social media age that we live in. Narcissism is running rampant in society. And an example being, like, it's kind of like what you said, where, like, how come people don't stop and think about, like, kind of the moral ramifications of what they're doing? An example is, did y'all see that clip of, it was a TikToker, he cloned I think it was Kanye. He trained the AI. He trained the AI to sound like Kanye, but then he did something I have never seen before anybody else do, where when he spoke into the mic, because I thought they were typing the lyrics, he spoke into the mic and it turned his voice into Kanye's, and then he recorded a whole song about that. And I'm sitting there looking back, I'm like, all right, from a technological standpoint, that is impressive. But then on the flip side, I'm like, is this digital blackface? Like, this shit is weird to me. Like, are you trying to be a black person? Like, where do we stop and be like, all right, maybe I shouldn't. This get a little weird, bro. Like,
I think you're right on the money. Like, think of like just the political implications of like people. Like, how will you know what's real anymore? Like, you won't, because if everyone's just making like AI fake videos, fake conversations, like, how will you know that someone's quote?
The person who invents
it's real or fake.
The person who invents the AI detector is going to become very rich. They have them for chat by GPT, but for like the music and stuff, is that a thing?
Yeah. I don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. And then on top of that, it's an arms race, right? You have to have the regulation keep up with the technology, but the technology keeps finding ways of like, it's like cheating, right? That's the current problem with cheating in video games right now. Is it's literally an arms race of anti-cheat has to keep up with the cheaters, but the cheaters keep innovating new ways to get around the cheat. So like, it just becomes a never-ending cycle of like, well, the AI is just going to get better and better and keep doing this. And I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's just a fucking scary, man. It's just like really.
It is nerve-wracking.
It's nerve-wracking, bro. It's really nerve-wracking, and I hate that I'm going to be alive to see what happens. I hate that I'll actually be alive and an old person when I actually see potentially all this terrible shit happening, man. So I don't know.
It's going to be Skynet. We're going to get our robot. Like, all this shit is going to happen.
Are AI going to kill us? Like, that's the great part. I don't even think that's will the AI kill us first? Will the aliens kill us first? Like, all this shit could actually be real now. And
we're all gonna get killed by a robot named Ultron that sounds like Drake.
Oh man, that's gonna be crazy. Dancing on our corpses, singing "Take Care."
This is actually a perfect segue into the next conversation, because I did not expect us to have a whole conversation about the ramifications of AI. But let's talk about some more like real world ramifications. So the FBI recently this past week arrested a 21-year-old Air Force guardsman in a Pentagon leak case. So the gist of this article is, for those of you who missed this one, so this guy is in the Air Force and he's also a gamer, and he was gaming with his buddies in Discord, and he was like, hey, psst. He was like, y'all know I work at the Pentagon? And he's like, I got classified documents. And the boys was like, get the fuck out of here, bro. We just playing Call of Duty or whatever the fuck they was playing, right? He was like, no, I'm really in the Pentagon. I'm really in the computers and shit, bro.
I'm really in this shit.
And them niggas said, prove it. He said, bet. This nigga downloaded files from the Pentagon and shared them inside a Discord with his boys on a dare. And the FBI found out, and now his ass is about to be charged for treason, bro. So Discord.
What do you think would be faster? Him leaking the Pentagon's information or him leaking Zelda? What do you think would have got to him faster?
Oh, the Yakuza.
Oh, about Nintendo.
Nintendo would have got his ass.
Who would have got his ass faster? You think the FBI or Nintendo lawyers? Who do you think would have got him?
Nintendo would have got his ass quicker. That's what it would have been, bro. Freaking, this is crazy, and this all went down in Discord. Man, Discord's been under a lot of fire recently. But we love them because they sponsor the podcast. So.
Yeah, we not letting that stuff happen in our Discord. We gonna find out.
We keep
ain't no
it clean.
Happening here.
So motherfuckers, gamers is out here wild. Let's talk about Microsoft. Apparently, Microsoft hates Xbox. Not really hate, but freaking they're not happy with it. So the Xbox sales, they're currently struggling. Apparently, from this time last year, sales are down 30%. And some insiders, hold on, let me get that other article. Some insiders that are cool with some Microsoft execs are on record saying that I can tell you they are upset when you're trying to diagnose a little bit right. You know, they didn't release a first party game last year and that it doesn't affect you. It always has something to play again. That's awesome. But a lot of people do regret getting their Xbox. So like there's some internal conversations going on that Microsoft is not happy with the current sales slump of Xbox. Why do you think people aren't picking an Xbox up? What's the name? Game Pass Bishop Ethos.
Oh, it's like, wait.
My brain.
Yeah, I get it. So as a representative of the Xbox Game Pass, I have to say we must have faith that Phil Spencer will bless us. Look, we already got Hi-Fi Rush. That came out this year. That was literally considered one of the best games of the year. Okay, there is no need for alarm yet. Not gonna lie, the thing that happened with the Ghost Wire was definitely an L.
Wait, what happened?
So they finally, because the deal was up with PlayStation, and since Tango is now owned by Xbox, they released the Xbox version of the game. So now it's available on Game Pass. So you can play it, the PC version on Game Pass, and you can also play the Xbox version. And Digital Foundries played it and found that not only the PS5 version already had issues, this version is actually objectively worse. It doesn't run as good as the PlayStation version, and it has a lot more issues than the PlayStation version, which is insane because this is a Xbox-owned studio, and its competitor has a better version of a game that they technically own the rights to now. So yeah, that's definitely an L. That's a big L. But I don't know. Overall, I would say this doesn't really surprise me here. I think the big thing that they're upset about is the console. It's the physical manifestation of the Xbox. The Game Pass is not something that Microsoft is upset about. As a matter of fact, it seems like they're very happy with Game Pass of how it's been growing and its current state that it's in. I think that this has always been the case, and I think Phil Spencer has always been pushing towards this point where it's like, hey, in the future, we're not going to be caring about plastic boxes anymore. Like, the future will be eventually is that you're going to be able to play your games anywhere and everywhere that you want. And I feel like this is just simply more ammo for that argument of like furthering that philosophy of we need to stop investing into like physical tech and investing more in our cloud technology and investing in our Game Pass system for digital sales. And that's where Microsoft's currently doing really well at, and Sony's a little bit behind at. But I do think once the Activision I think that acquisition is taking longer than what they expected because of all the slowdown and people trying to slow it down as fast as they can or delay it. So I think that overall, the everything's going to be okay. I just think this is just one of those things that once the Activision acquisition happens, I feel like this isn't even going to be a talking point anymore. It's not going to matter.
Sometimes I read these articles and I'm like, do they know it's like a recession going on and people don't have a lot of money to spend?
That too.
I seen a tweet earlier from a streamer. And she was like, hey guys, she's like, my numbers have been higher than they ever been in terms of like viewership. But she's like, is anybody else's sub count down? And like, I felt like being a jackass and responding, be like, people just broke right now. Like it is what it is. I need you guys to get in tune with the world. Like,
yeah, you need to be in the real world. People are not making as much as they want to, or not actively at jobs.
People are silently quitting their jobs too. That's a new movement. I watched a little documentary about that.
Yeah, I was part of the what do they call it? The Great Retire, or what do they call it? They call it like in 2020, 2021. Like a lot of the workforce had straight up left their jobs. They're like left their positions of where they were after like going through the pandemic. I think it was like 2021. It was like a massive exiling of people who just left their jobs or quit. I didn't even know I was part of that, but yeah, I was part of that percentage apparently. So that was pretty interesting.
Ethos is a statistic. Shout out to him.
I'm a statistic. I'm sorry, guys.
The Great Resignation.
The Great Resignation. That's what it was. Yeah, correct.
How you feel about this, Jay?
I mean, I think this makes sense that they're not happy with the Xbox. Like you all mentioned, Phil Spencer just kind of want to get away from hardware, and we know it's going to eventually just all be in the cloud. Just going to be a different way that we play games. And the Game Pass is showing that because everybody loves the Game Pass. The Game Pass it definitely has really good value. And eventually we're just going to get away from physical console. Like no matter how many years that we're going to battle about Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo, like eventually we're just not going to have physical devices anymore. So we shall see. But yeah, people aren't clamoring. We aren't going out to buy consoles like we used to, especially right now. So we shall see what ends up happening with this. But yeah, I mean, I can understand why they're a little bit upset. I mean, you look at those numbers. If they're down, then you're gonna be like, oh, what the heck? What's going on? You're not gonna be happy with that. The shareholders aren't going to be happy. So it is what it is. But we shall see. Everybody's on Game Pass though. So Redfall and Starfield, they're on the way. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe things will turn around.
Pretty soon, all our brains will be uploaded into the Google Cloud. That's what you're saying. Oh shit!
Man.
What's the name?
You got him started. Look at him.
I'm on the podcast now.
No, he wants some attention. It's about that time. You've been talking too long, man. Come talk to me. What was I about to say?
Don't love me no more.
Sony, they looks like they're about to lose that case. This man just dropped this in the podcast notes. Apparently, according to the New York Post, Microsoft is preparing to close their Activision Blizzard acquisition, which, by the way, I'm so tired of hearing about this shit. I'm ready for this to just go through. Apparently, strong language is being used. Microsoft is going to cram this down the FTC's throat, a source to the situation close said. What's this doing for you, Ethos? Because you're the one that put this on the nose.
Oh, just, that reinforces exactly what I was saying. Everything will get better once this thing ends. And I agree with you. I'm just sick and tired of hearing about this. I feel like it's just people just capping and just saying, just trying to just get their 5 seconds of fame in front of a committee. It's going to get through. I feel like this whole, the FTC trying to delay it, I highly doubt it's going to even matter. And the one thing I want to see, the curious part I want to see is that what happens with that whole, when Sony tried to lobby the US Senate about the, trade deal, like the Microsoft trying to get their hands on it, and then it backfired on them, and now apparently they're like reviewing the trade deal with Japan. I want to see what now that's the aspect I am curious about with this whole thing. I don't care about the rest of this. I don't care about the FTC. I don't care about all this crap. I don't care what Lena Khan has to say about this crap. I honestly, I disagree with her assessment on it. I don't think she's right. She's correct in saying that it'll stifle competition. Do I think it's a little bit worrisome that they're getting a huge chunk? Yeah, a little bit. But when you compare it to where PlayStation's at from the whole war standpoint of like percentage wise of how much ownership they have and sales and stuff like that, it's not going to be enough to like overtake them and make Sony irrelevant, and not even close. So yeah, that's the gist of it.
Freaking what's the name? Sony just sound like A runaway fucking slave. We need this fucking Call of Duty for our play. No, you don't, bro. Fucking relax, dude.
No, it sounds like the slave that wants to go back to Master's house.
Please come back.
Please.
What's it? That's the Sony shit. Oh, there's an update on the Apple case between Epic Games. So it turns out that Epic lost the case. For those not familiar, because this one kind of fell to the wayside, the news on this. Maybe like a year or two ago, Epic was trying to bypass Apple's 30% tax. And basically keep all the money for themselves in Fortnite, and Apple's like, nah, we need that. So then Epic was like, fuck that, that's not fair. We're gonna take you to court. We're gonna fight this shit. We're gonna, we for the people. That's the way they try to present themselves. But this case has come to a conclusion, and the judge says that Apple is allowed to tax that 30%. How y'all feeling about this one?
I mean, I don't use stinky ass iPhones anyway, so.
Yeah, how about you, TBH? How do you feel about this as a fellow iPhone drone?
Well, I don't play Fortnite, so I don't really care. But I don't think it's that big of a deal, because for those you unaware, in the latest iOS update, side loading has come. So Android, you're done.
Here we go with this BS.
Look at it. We've had the features. We've had the security cam for 15 years now. What's the name? I was about to say. Yeah, side loading is coming. So that means the Amazon store, probably the Microsoft store is going to come, and they're going to circumvent that 30% tax.
They really had y'all paying 30%, bro, for everything.
I don't buy anything off of the Apple store anyway. Like, the way you get around, just buy it off the web browser.
I didn't even know they really had y'all paying 30% more for all y'all shit. That's actually fucking insane.
Yeah, so if you're in our Discord and you have an iPhone, do not subscribe from your phone. I mean, if you want to, go ahead, but you're gonna pay more. Just subscribe from the web browser. It's cheaper.
Screw them.
Yeah, it's like it's like $1 more expensive versus if you just do it on the web browser. So I mean, that's the workaround. But yeah, be aware of that. They lost. Apple's gonna do whatever they want. I mean, the alternative is get a virus from an Android phone, but we're not gonna do that. Battle Pass coming to Diablo 4. Do we care about this? Also, well, they said they're going to update the game with content. That's actually the big thing. They're going to update the content for the game every 3 months, and there will be a Battle Pass, a free and a paid one. Do you believe they can actually maintain this pace of dropping content every 3 months?
It's Blizzard, probably. Did you hear how long it's going to take for you to reach like level 120 something?
No, what's the word on the street?
Apparently it's going to take you like 150 hours. 140, 150. You ready to dedicate that much time to Diablo? I know y'all was pretty excited about it.
It's coming out this summer. I actually think that's more than possible.
Do you think it's just going to be the whole summer?
There's nothing coming out this summer besides Street Fighter. I mean, I feel like I can play those games at the same time. That's actually possible.
That's fair.
And I actually didn't believe this article they were going to do it every 3 months, but then some people in the Twitch chat corrected me that play Diablo 3. Apparently they're still updating it and like they're still dropping content. So like I didn't know there was
really.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a whole community for this shit. So like apparently it's believable.
So I'm debating in my head if I should even buy this game, just because like what if we buy this game and then like literally 2 months later Xbox closes the deal and then it ends up on the Game Pass. Like I'm not gonna lie, I feel a little tight that I paid $70 for this game.
You spent the money
free. Yeah.
You don't.
I don't think it'll be that quick. I don't think it'll be that quick. You don't think it'll
you don't think they'll have it on the Game Pass by the end of this year?
That would really. I don't think that would make me mad. Diablo's a game I would want to own. I wouldn't. I feel like Game Pass is for games like Atomic Heart. Like I don't want to own that.
I knew you were going there.
I mean, do you want to own it?
That game gave me motion sickness. I could not play that game. My vertigo was kicking in trying to play that game. So
I'm good off of that. I think the only game that's coming to Game Pass that I would probably want to own is Starfield, and that's based off I need to see more gameplay. But most of those games are like they deserve to be on Game Pass. Wild Hearts deserves to be on Game Pass. Absolutely.
Wild Hearts doesn't deserve to be anywhere.
They're good games, but they're not that goddamn great. Hopefully Flintlock is amazing though. Oh, what about this one? Breaking news. Was
it Wulong on Game Pass?
Actually, yeah, that's my favorite game of the year so far. You're right.
Yeah, no, Wulong was fire.
That's the one. That's the one. We'll give you the pat. Yeah, you got that.
Game Pass, baby.
They finally got one. Cliffy B took to Twitter and he teased the possible comeback of Lawbreakers. He tweeted out, "Just got a text from my lawyer about Lawbreakers. Stay tuned." And there was another tweet, I couldn't find it, the original one, where he was basically saying, what led to this tweet, this is the second tweet, what led to this is he was looking into who owns the licensing, the rights to actual Lawbreakers, and he was like, I don't think anybody owns it. So then he got on the phone with his lawyer, he's like, oh, I might have something. And then it turns out that he can't use Lawbreakers. It's not coming back. So I just wanted to maybe talk about...
Damn, you really had me excited for a second there. I really thought you were going to say it's coming back and go back, and it's like, nope.
I just wanted to picture a world where Lawbreakers comes back. And then also, I just think it's funny that Cliffy B's just on the internet yelling at people. He said, "It confuses the hell out of me how people were rooting for a game to fail. And when it did, now there's a ton of support for it. Gamers are weird, yo."
No, he's spitting. He's straight up spitting.
Okay, he's not wrong.
That's literally what we were complaining about with Titanfall. That's literally the same thing we were complaining about.
Hold on. But you know, in this business, the way people can interpret things, if you want people to play this supposed game, just be like, "Hey, I'm really excited for you guys to get your hands back in return." Like, it comes across a certain way that's gonna make people not. And you already know, motherfuckers don't like Cliffy B.
That is true.
That's the way I'm looking at it from just like a strategy point.
I'm gonna be honest, the way they treated his game, I mean, I'd be a little salty about it too. Me personally, I'd be a little salty the way that they did Lawbreakers. Because I'm not gonna lie, it was crazy how it felt like a couple years after Lawbreakers had shut down, there was a lot of videos coming out talking about Lawbreakers was underrated. It didn't deserve its death, all these sort of things. And I'm not gonna lie, I would have sat there like, where the fuck were y'all?
It's the
when I actually need these videos when the game was out, where were y'all?
It's the vicious cycle of people see it's cool to hate on something, so then they hop on the bandwagon without thinking for themselves, and then they come back years later, 10 years later. Was Anthem really that bad? Like, fucking, it's. We've gotten to a point, I feel like, with YouTube where, like, I feel like YouTube was like the standard for like the mainstream go-to place for like anti-mainstream news coverage on game. Yeah, alternative media. But like, I feel like YouTube has lived long enough. God damn it, it's lived long enough to see itself become a villain. Just
pick them up and just put them to the mic and just let them start talking.
What you got to say? What you got to say? It's lived long enough to see itself become a villain. Obviously, there's still great people out there like us, but then you have a lot of people out there with agendas that are just trying to push narratives. And Lawbreakers, it was a good game. Like, jokes aside, we all played the hell out of it. I think the problem with Lawbreakers is it took actual skill to play it. And then B, I didn't think that the advertising on it was very good. He tried to push it as like this dude bro game. Yeah. But it showed people are like very simple. They saw Overwatch and they saw Lawbreakers, like, oh, and it's funny too, because we've reached a point in history where like somebody can look at one like team, they can look at Xdefiant and they can look at Overwatch and they'll be like, okay, there are two shooters that have like classes, but this is something different. But back then, it seemed like the internet wasn't mentally there. This was the era. Remember, this is the era when 60 frames per second wasn't real. They thought that 30 dies get only. So, like, I think just mentally the internet wasn't there. And they saw Lawbreakers as a class-based shooters. They saw Overwatch. They said, oh, it's the same shit. Overwatch is more popular. I'm gonna go play that. But if you played Lawbreakers, it was actually completely different from Overwatch. It was its own thing, and it was fun. But you know, you live and you learn. You live and you learn.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't get enough time to truly enjoy that before it just went bye-bye.
Yeah, sometimes it's all about timing, unfortunately. I'll tell you what, who's on some different type of time. Nintendo. I don't know what happened since the last podcast, but they want all the smoke. I got 3 different articles for y'all. So the first one is GameSpot reported, after the leak, an employee says he was told off record that Nintendo requested he be moved out of the company. So apparently this dude leaked this new limited edition Nintendo Tears of the Kingdom Switch, and apparently Nintendo had him fired from GameStop. They made that call. And then let's see, there's 2 more we got for you. Nintendo is cracking down on ROM websites. This dude owes over $400,000 for hosting in Paris for hosting ROMs. Nintendo said cut that shit out. And then the most interesting one out of all of these ones is Nintendo also is making a hacker pay 20 to 30% of his salary for the rest of his life after being released from prison. Now, you're a big Yakuza fan, JG. What's going on with Nintendo, man? Like, they're not fucking playing out here in these streets. Y'all better stop fucking playing with their body, man.
They catching bodies, man. Like, I really don't understand why people keep messing with them. Like, I get it. Nintendo makes it hard to play like your favorite game from 10, 20 years ago. You want to get it. It's not available online, or if it is, somebody is charging, 10 times what the original game was worth. I understand that part. I wish that Nintendo would make it easier to get these old games, and it's like, they're trying, but a lot of the games that they've been putting on their store or games that people just don't want. They aren't the rare games that people want. So I understand all of that part, that like people just are doing what they can to get these ROMs out that they don't own, because you can't actually physically own it because they can't get it. So I get that part, but you really got to stop messing with them. So sometimes we just got to take the L and be like, look, all right, I can't play this game. I shouldn't let other people download these ROMs and play the game either, because eventually, like it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but Nintendo will find your ass, especially if you get a little bit of popularity. They will find your ass and you will have to pay. So that's crazy that they caught like 3 bodies in the span of like a few weeks. But that one, this one about the dude having to pay for life 20 or 30%, like it's like you paying child support at this point. Like,
it makes me think of the Boondocks clip. What did this nigga do that made him this mad? Like,
so
God,
I hope he got some money, because that's crazy. You got to pay it for life. What type of deal happened that you get caught with this? So you literally have Nintendo tethered to your titty for life, taking 20-30% of your money.
You know, the funny thing about this is like all these articles reporting all this shit that Nintendo's been doing, but Nintendo's been gangster since the 90s. Because if you remember back then, like in order to even get your game on the NES or the SNES, you had to have hit their gold standard sticker or whatever. Like they had like certain very strict quality control, basically. Like they've been very possessive about their games. And then also remember back in the early days of YouTube, people would try to play do Let's Plays for like Nintendo games, and they was taking everybody's shit down, bro. Like just stop fucking with Nintendo. They don't. It's a Japanese company. They don't give a fuck about your YouTube or your TikTok, bro. Just respect their gangster, play their games, and have fun with Mario. Go see the movie, but you don't need to. You see me? I don't really cover Nintendo games like that. I don't be trying to risk it. Like your best bet is do like a review, because that falls under fair use. But y'all that just be uploading footage and shit and sharing ROMs, y'all better stop fucking with Nintendo. You gonna be on your Nintendo shit when your game drop, Ethos?
No comment.
True. Fake game. The Division. You guys care about that?
What's going on with them now?
Of course not. Nobody does. I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, Ubisoft, fuck this game. For those,
it's not a bad game. What the fuck?
Hold on, let me zoom the camera back.
I said what I said. Division 2 is not a bad game. Did you play it? I played it.
I did. When's the last time?
Did you play the expansion?
Hold up. When's the last time you played it?
When the expansion came out.
Did you know there was an event for the Division?
No, because I don't play it no more.
That's my point. Anyways,
doesn't mean the
why you let him do that to you, bro? Why you let him do that?
Okay, hold on. I haven't played Final Fantasy 14 in like a year and a half. That doesn't mean the game's bad. It just means I got other things to do.
No, I give you a pass on Final Fantasy 14 because it has a monthly bill. Like the recession hit, you got to really try to save money. I respect that. You're being an adult. The Division 2 is free. What's your excuse?
The Division 2 is not free.
Yes, it is. After you buy the game, the online is just free.
I gotta pay for the battle pass.
Yeah, whatever, bro. So like they had an event. I didn't even know they had an event. This randomly just showed up in my sub box, and they showed off the new content for season 4 or 5 or something like that. They showed off the new mobile game, and they have a new free-to-play game. And the crazy thing is, it all looks the fucking same.
You playing that Heartland?
Yeah, the Heartland, and then the Resurgence, I think, is the mobile version. It looks exactly the same. Am I gonna play it? It's free to play. If there's nothing to play, I'll try it. But like, I don't know, man.
Can't be worse than Dead Island 2, right?
I think they're just putting this. I think they're just putting this game out so they can have more classes to add to Xdefiant. That's my conspiracy.
No, I think they need to make some money. That's what I think.
Yeah, they're broke as fuck.
I don't think they're gonna make it from this though.
You don't think they're gonna make money from this?
No.
You don't think so?
The Division literally is dividing the entire gaming community. That's why it's called that. Nobody won't play that shit, bro. I know you're super nerdy about this shit. Back to the black man, Okami. He's reporting that the Asus ROG, which is a fucking disgusting name, Asus ROG Ally, which is
ROG is not spelled.
I mean, even that's worse. Gaming division stuff, but whatever.
I really need to be hired by marketing teams. Why the fuck would you call your device an Asus ROG Ally? It's a mouthful. It's stupid. Part of the reason the Steam Deck is successful Great marketing.
It's simple to the point.
it's called a Steam Deck. It's to the fucking point, bro. Like, this is a stupid name. He's reporting that it's launching May 11th. It's under $1,000, 50% faster than the Steam Deck, which I would hope because the Steam Deck's like 2 years old. 2 times faster with the same wattage, up to 8 times faster than Nintendo Switch. I don't even know why that's being reported on.
Who cares about the Nintendo Switch?
Yeah, like, why is that even a factor? That shit is old as fuck. 1080p, 120 hertz OLED monitor on the actual screen. Are you picking up one of these? Ethos is doing anything for you? Is this a true competitor to Steam Deck?
I mean, depending on the price, but I highly doubt it. I don't feel like there's any reason to pick this thing up if you have a Steam Deck. I mean, the specs sound good, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is how good is the battery and how much is it going to cost, all right? If you're telling me it runs twice as fast as full power, that means it's going to drain twice as fast. So unless they have some new battery tech, I'm just not aware. People are saying, oh, it has better battery life than Steam Deck, but we don't know what that means. And the other thing that already confirmed to me, when you come to me and you say, hey, all right, TBH, we're going to give you this product. And instead of you straight up saying to you, hey, it's going to be a competitor to Steam Deck because it's going to be in the same price range. But I say to you, no, it's going to be under $1,000. Your brain doesn't immediately go, oh, that means it's going to be close to the Steam Deck's price. You're probably thinking in your head, it's probably going to be $850, $700, $999.99. Like, that's basically what in my mind, I'm imagining the price is going to be. I think that's them just basically kind of pseudo saying there's no way in hell this thing is going to even come close. I think the only way
at that point, get a laptop.
Yeah, exactly. Like, at this point, the only way this could compete, I think this could knock out the Aya Neo, like that Neo one you were telling me about.
That's just
those other high ones. Yeah, I feel like those other ones it can knock out, but because Asus is like a kind of a family brand, I feel like anybody who's in the PC space knows if they hear Asus, they're like, oh, I know what Asus is. But is this thing going to even crush the Steam Deck? No, because again, Asus, while it is a popular thing in PC gaming, I don't think it comes close to the star power that Valve has. The other thing too is Valve has just been so active when it comes to updating the Steam Deck and just its community and the way and its infrastructure and how it functions and its entire backend system. That's another thing it has for it. Asus, I've used Asus before. I've used their software. Ain't that good. Just my personal experience. I've had Asus monitors. I love their ultra-wide monitors, but like from their software standpoint, it has a little bit, meh. But
the last Asus monitor I bought, it randomly just blacked out like 3 months later. I've been BenQ ever since.
Mine did black out. My first one.
Hey, I'm using Asus monitors right now.
That's why you can't see nothing.
I can see everything. Excuse you. I have 20/20 vision.
Then why are you so close to the camera? You can't see how big your head is?
It's not big.
Oh shit! I just have a hard time believing any of these things are gonna fucking gonna compete because the ecosystem of the Steam Deck, like it's particularly made for Steam. Like, this is just some third party shit. Unless the price is competitive. Like, if it's cheaper than Steam Deck, and if it's cheaper than Steam Deck and it's more powerful, then you got a competitor.
This is $499, then it's a competitor. I think if it's at max $499, I think if you hit the 600 range, maybe like the people who bought the high end Steam Deck would maybe buy this, but. If you started off by saying anything 7 something, like, nah, you just lost. There's no way you're gonna beat this.
I think you'd have to be an enthusiast. Like, if you're truly like, hey, I want the strongest device out there, then this would be for you. The Steam Deck, when it first came out, it was rare. They weren't making that many. As soon as they opened it up and everybody can get one, there's no reason why you shouldn't get a Steam Deck if you really want something like this.
Yeah. I'm saying the Steam Deck everywhere. Like, I'm saying people use it in Ukraine to fight off the Russians. I'm saying so many random places the Steam Deck's just. Yeah. If you check my time. So if you check my timeline, there's an image of a Ukrainian soldier using a self-defense turret, and he's actually plugged he's using the Steam Deck as the controller for the pistol. It's on my timeline. I kid you not.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know some jackass shit, but how efficient is that on the battlefield? Because isn't the battery like 2 hours?
It's a PC. No, it's only 2 hours if you're playing like, I don't know, like The Last of Us on it. Like if you're playing a PC game. But if you're using it like a regular PC, it can last anywhere between 6 to 8 to 10 hours. If you're just doing normal, like regular.
So these things got like crazy batteries in them. I don't care about this shit.
Well, I love my Steam Deck.
I hope it burns your lap.
It doesn't, because you know why? The cooling's efficient. And you know that if you had a Steam Deck.
I'll get one when the second model comes out and it's more powerful. Maybe I'll get one. Especially because I'm about to travel. I might need one. So. Oh shit!
You gonna need one to that Wi-Fi goes.
Nah, I got my Alienware laptop. That bitch got 3080 in it, so I'm straight. What's the name? That's all I got on the show notes. Y'all got anything y'all want to add to the conversation before we wrap this one up?
I feel like there was something that I can't.
Not for me.
I feel like there was something important.
Did
you see the Flash reviews? That's what I was gonna say.
Oh no, because then I saw y'all talking about it in the group chat, but we just had started recording the podcast.
Yeah.
There was no way for me to read it. So what they saying on the Flash reviews?
There are people out here saying this is the best DCU movie under like just Nolan stuff.
I mean, what does that even mean? The best? It's not like any of them. Most of them are any good. Like,
well, some of them are saying that it's probably one of the best superhero movies of all time, and then some other people are saying
all
that
time
of all, I
better than Django Unchained.
Yeah, no, probably Django's like one of my favorite movies.
That's a great superhero movie.
Somebody said, without a doubt, among some of the best superhero films of all time. Inventive storytelling, fantastic action sequences, great cast, so many nerdy details. Leave the hype. Christopher Nolan movies aside, the Flash movie is the greatest DC movie in the last 30 years. That belongs in the same conversation as Superman 78 and Batman 89. It's both super inventive visually and concept. The dynamic between the two Barrys is crazy well done. They said Ezra did an insanely great job. Like, all the characters did a phenomenal job. Like, from like some screening they had, and they said it's been scoring like this across the board for the like couple times they've shown it.
When is the movie supposed to come out?
In June. So now people are like, whoa, like that's like people like were like, oh, like people were like either they liked it or they didn't about the trailer. So that's interesting. Just say, I guess we'll have to see if it's just cap or if it actually.
Ezra Miller is a prime example of why y'all need to stop watching Disney movies, because sometimes the villain wins. And if these reviews are true, this is fucking.
Yeah, this is insane.
Better get off that high horse and operate in the real world.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So
it's really good.
Go ahead and pre-order them tickets, Jay. I know you're ready. You got the floor, Jay. What's your closing statement for Game of Illuminati episode 141? Go.
I appreciate everybody for listening to a long podcast. I'm sure we over like 2 hours or something. So It was jam-packed. We are back to the, as best we can about weekly schedule. I know that everybody was like, oh, where's the pod? Where's the pod? I appreciate everybody for asking about it. But like we said before, we had to get the Discord stuff going. So we're back on the bi-weekly schedule. So don't worry, y'all. This is about to drop. Y'all gonna be good. You're gonna get your fix. But shout out to the YouTube algorithm. Like, seriously, I don't know what's been going on. I don't know if it's have you seen it, T-Base? Usually talking about the research, what people are searching on YouTube, but one of our podcasts got over 100,000 views now, so it's great.
Yeah, it's at 150K for that one. Like, I don't know if I had told y'all, but I recently I took a call with a YouTube consulting company that specializes in thumbnails and SEO, and ultimately we didn't end up working together. They didn't want to work with me, even though they reached out to me. It was fucking weird. But in the process of I did 2 interviews with them before I decided to sign any type of contract. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think they liked that I was asking so many questions. But in the process of me asking all those questions, what I was trying to do is get as much information for free as I could. And one of the things that I learned about YouTube that I did not know is if you change the thumbnail and the title of a video, the video will be retested in the YouTube algorithm. You cannot do just the title. You cannot do just the thumbnail. You got to do both.
Stop right there, partner. We need to save the rest of this.
For the Discord?
For the
Discord.
Stop right there. Right there.
It's free.
No free gems. But as a matter of fact, you should bleep out what you just said.
So long story short, one of the little tricks that I learned from them, I finessed them out of, it seems to be working because I did some SEO work on stream. But yeah, if you want to pick up some more tips and tricks on content creation, we do this type of stuff in the Discord. It's one of our paid tiers. We do consultations. We do group consultations with content creators, and we've actually had a lot of positive feedback. We've had some people's channels actually blow up, people thanking us. We gotta get screenshots of that stuff so we can have like testimonials. Yeah. So make sure to join the Discord at discord.gg/GI updates. Once again, there will be a link in the description box below to that. It's totally free to join, but we have paid tiers with a lot of cool perks that nobody's Discord is fucking with ours. Ethos, what's your closing statement for episode
hopefully by the
141.
time this video comes out, let y'all know, just a heads up, that Jedi Survivor is about 150 gigs. So if you're broke and you ain't got fast internet, you better start downloading and pre-ordering it now. Else you're gonna be suffering a whole day trying to play it.
I saw some people complaining about that on Twitter, and I was like, read that stuff, and I'm just like, you people ask for better games, better performance.
What do you mean by you people?
You blackie. What's the name? What's the name? If you're listening to the audio version, we're all black.
We're all black. We're all black.
What's the name? Freaking people want better visuals, better textures, just better, lighting, anti-aliasing.
And they want the games to be better.
You want better audio so you can sound horror. Newsflash, that comes at a price. The games are becoming more intensive, so the files will continue to get better. That default PS5 that you got with the fucking 600 gigabytes, take your ass to Best Buy, Amazon, something, and buy an external hard drive or an upgraded internal hard drive and shut the fuck up, bro. I'm so tired of hearing about that shit. Like, it's annoying that it launches with like a small files, but like, if you could afford a $500 Xbox, you could afford a $100 hard drive. Shut your punk ass up, bro. Anyways, what was I about to say?
There's recession. There's not a recession. Yeah.
And if you can't, maybe you need to get another hobby, because this is not the poor man's hobby, bro. Or just how about just uninstall it? Is that not a thing? Why do y'all keep 1,000 games on your hard drive? Just install.
How big is 2K? How big is 2K?
2K like 40 gigs or something last time I checked. Oh man.
After all those updates, probably bigger. It's probably like 80 gigs.
Turn
How big is Call of Duty?
Turn it off.
How big is Call of Duty?
People really do be acting like they playing like 10 games every day.
Yeah.
Like you playing a different game every day.
You know how big Apex is?
Niggas still got Keno on their hard drive. Like, bro, if you don't take that shit off your hard drive,
you can delete a few games.
You'll be okay. You'll be okay. This is going to be probably one of the best games of the year, which we'll talk about.
Install Dead Island and just get this installed.
Yeah, that dead ass game. My closing statement for episode 141 is, if you're looking for something new to watch, check out Tetris on Apple TV. Very good film. We were talking about it earlier before we started the show. I was recommending it. It's a very witty biopic. If you don't know the story of Tetris, it's about a man who goes into communist Russia to talk to Alexis, the creator of Tetris, but the problem is it's a communist state, so he has to go to war bargaining with communists on how to get this game out of Russia and into America.
Capitalism?
Well, the funny thing, one of the things I actually really liked about the movie is it wasn't preachy about capitalism. It actually showed the good and the bad of capitalism and communism. It wasn't a preachy film. It showed both sides of the coin. That's one thing that I liked about it. Basically, it was him trying to secure the handheld rights because Nintendo had this new mystery handheld coming out called the Game Boy, which shows up in the movie as well. Very cool, look at history. I'm pretty sure they played a little bit loose with it, but if you don't know the story of Tetris, it's very interesting. Very good movie. I was entertained. I would recommend it. Apple TV or other sites. But yeah. I appreciate you guys for listening to episode 141 of the Gaming Illuminati podcast. If you're new here on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Also, shout out to all the people that be commenting on Spotify. I was telling them before the show, I was like, there's this new feature on Spotify. You can leave comments now. And a lot of people have been leaving comments. I'm like, I think we hitting the algorithm on Spotify. So shout out for y'all for hitting that 5 stars on Apple and Spotify for us, because we're getting a lot of love over there. We appreciate y'all. Hit the like button, join the Discord, follow the social medias, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Gaming Illuminati podcast. Peace.